Hey guys, so today I want to make another video ranking in-ear monitors or IEMs. So this is my second video ranking IEMs. The reason why I'm making this video is because I recently had the chance to travel to Tokyo, Japan, and I went to two of the, I would say two of the best headphone stores in the world, retail stores for trying out different headphones and IEMs, and that's the e-earphone store in Tokyo in Akihabara and Fujiya Avich in Nakano in Tokyo. And both of these stores are well known in Japan for offering a wide selection of headphones and earphones to listen to. So yeah, I'm going to just give you guys my impressions on them, in addition to some of the other IEM impressions that I didn't get to do before, okay? And I'll be ranking them based on the same tiers I had in my previous video. So D tier means below average. These are IEMs or headphones that I think could have been better, especially for the price, or I just straight up didn't like for some reason, usually tuning related. And C tier is average. These are just, hey, I thought these headphones or IEMs just sound okay, you know, for their price, and nothing too special, but it doesn't sound terrible or bad to me. That will go in C tier. B tier, above average. These are IEMs or headphones that I feel like are very solid. I would recommend them to people who are asking about them. They wouldn't necessarily always be the ones that I would buy, but I don't have an issue recommending them because I do like them in some way. A tier is excellent or outstanding. Yeah, so these are IEMs or headphones I feel like are just, you know, top class, top shelf IEMs. S tier, I think there's not too many S tiers. There might be just a few, not too many. But these are usually just the very, very memorable ones that I'll always be talking about in my top 10 list, you know. Like if people ask me, hey, what's your top 10 list of IEMs and headphones? They'll probably be all full of S tier IEMs and headphones. So those are reserved for the very, very special ones. But yeah, for the most part, you'll be just seeing like A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier here. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, so the first IEM on this video, and the one I'll be starting off with on my D tier, I'm going to go from D tier and then to C tier, B tier, and A tier, and then to S tier like that, just going from the bottom to the top, just like in my previous ranking video. Yeah, I'm starting off with the Shure SE215s. These were actually the first IEMs that I tried out when I was in Tokyo. And I have a history with this one because these were actually the very first IEMs that I ever owned. I mean, we can make a distinction maybe between IEMs versus earphones. Like, yeah, like those Apple earbuds, you know, the ones that came with the iPod or EarPods, those things, I don't consider those IEMs. I consider IEMs, yeah, something like a little bit more complex, I would say, something that at least has like, you know, a balanced armature driver in it. And the Shure SE215 does have a balanced armature driver in it, just one. Retails for about $100 and it's been around for a while. I remember, yeah, these were my first like real IEMs, and this was back in 2013. And I think at the time in 2013 when I tried these were fine. And you know, back then I wasn't really like too much of an audiophile back then. But yeah, I thought these sounded fine back then. Not like great or anything because they were like always cheap IEMs, but they sounded fine. But now when I compare them to like more modern offerings, I think that this is just, it just doesn't cut it anymore, you know? Like, sure, they're one of the pioneers of the IEM industry. I get it. They've been around for a very long time, and yeah, they've been making IEMs for a very long time. The SE215 is a lot of people's first IEM. It's been around for a while, including mine. Like, this was my first IEM. But when I listen to it now in 2026, yeah, it just doesn't hold up anymore. It's got a fairly neutral, I can see my notes here. Okay, I'm just going back on my very brief notes trying all these IEMs. Okay, so SE215, neutral level frequency response with, I would say, below average resolution and soundstage compared to some of the newer IEMs you can get for this price. It was good for its time, but now it's outclassed by a lot of other IEMs at the price point, right? You can probably find like a 7 Hertz or KZ that can probably outperform it for less. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in a D tier because it's now, it was good for the time because it didn't have much competition, but now in 2026, it doesn't hold up anymore. There's just way more performant IEMs for the price, I would say. Yeah, like a KZ or like a, yeah, 7 Hertz would probably outperform it for cheaper. Okay, so also on the D tier, I'm going to put the Audio-Technica E70. These are their flagship IEMs, which is crazy because it didn't sound like flagship IEMs to me. So it's interesting because Audio-Technica they're such a hit and miss brand for me. Like, there's some of their stuff that I really like. I do like their WP900s. I thought AP2000 Ti was pretty decent, even though other people don't like it. AWAS, you know, the mids on those were pretty good. ADX 7000, R70X, like those are some pretty nice headphones. But then they got some stuff that I really hated too, like the AWKTs. And then these are their flagship IEMs. I don't know. I don't like these. So the problem with these is that, first of all, they're too V-shaped. So I don't like too V-shaped. And the bass and treble are very heavy because of that, and the mids are very recessed because of that. And the detail and resolution is very below average for what you're paying. These are the flagships, so they cost like $450 US. Yeah. I would say there's definitely better sounding IEMs for the price, and I do not like super V-shaped IEMs. I'm just going to say that off the bat, right? I don't like super V-shaped. You're recessing the mids, pushing up the bass and treble. To me, mids are the most important thing, so recessing the mids is a no-no. So I don't like, I think a little bit of a V-shape or Harman tuning or W-shape or whatever, that's usually fine, but not like too V-shaped like this. Same issue, like, for me, like IE900 kind of had that, but even these I think are a little bit more V-shaped than even the IE900s, which is crazy. Anyways, yes, this is going in the D tier. Next is the Maestro MA Pro 1000. I think this is a Japanese brand. I don't hear too much about them, but these cost around $150 US. I also didn't like these because they basically sounded just like those Audio-Technica E70s I talked about. Yeah, not too different actually, despite the Audio-Technicas being more expensive. These are pretty similar. They're very V-shaped. Treble is too harsh, and the amount of details and resolution is very average. So overall, I did not like these. Again, another issues. You find with me, I don't like anything that's too V-shaped. Anything as like harsh treble, I don't like, and I'm very treble sensitive. So that's going to be how I'm judging some of these tunings. So yes, for me, too V-shaped, treble too harsh, technicalities are very, very average. At least it's not as overpriced as the Audio-Technicas, but still, I'm going to put this on my D tier. Okay. Next is the Hibby or Hibby Golden 10th Anniversary. These ones I also going to put in the D tier. You want to guess why, you know, like just one guess, you can probably guess why. Oh, too V-shaped. Yeah, just the same with the other ones in this tier. Too V-shaped, which means too much treble, too much bass, recessed mids. And in this one, I just said, there's way too much bass, which drowns out a lot of the mids. And yeah, for me, mids are really important, you know. I want to have mids that I can actually hear when I listen to songs. I don't want the treble to be too harsh, drowning it out. I don't want the bass to be too hard, like too much, drowning it out. In this case, yeah, there's too much bass, and yeah, don't like it. So I'm gonna put it in the D tier here. TA Audio Monarch Mark IIIs. This was really a disappointment for me because I actually really liked the TA Audio Monarch Mark IIs because I had those for like two and a half years, I think, and that was my main IEM for like 2.5 years. It's kind of sad because Monarch Mark IIIs, I think they increased the bass way too much. Like 2s were like kind of U-shaped-ish. It did have a bass boost, and it was like, you know, the mids are a little bit recessed on those, but yeah, the Mark III is too much. They added too much bass and makes it muddy, drowns out the mids, a little bit too V-shaped, below average technicalities. So yeah, overall, I think that this is definitely a downgrade from the Mark II. Now the Mark IV is interesting because I don't necessarily like the Mark IV that much either, but at least it has the adjustable bass levels. Whereas Mark III is just giving you way too much muddy bass, in my opinion. So yeah, here it goes. Monarch Mark IIIs, probably my my least favorite Monarchs. I haven't tried the first ones actually. I can't say exactly. I haven't tried the Mark I's, but I don't know. Actually, the Mark I's don't seem to be. Nobody ever talks about them, so they must not be that good. But yeah, out of 2, 3, and 4, I would say 3 is my least favorite. I'm also going to put the Dita Mecha into this tier as well. I mean, okay, one thing is I do appreciate that Dita, the Singaporean IEM maker, they tend to make IEMs that are just kind of unique, and they tend to make like single driver IEMs, and this one is a single dynamic driver. They kind of specialize in that. So props for making an IEM that's kind of different, but no, I didn't like it. It's too V-shaped, too bassy and muddy. technicalities are very average for the price. So yeah, it kind of suffers from the same issue as the Monarch Mark IIIs did. So even though this one looks pretty interesting, but yeah, same issues as the Monarch Mark IIIs. Yeah, too much, too muddy and too V-shaped, and yeah, don't like that. Yeah, recessed mids and stuff. Also on my D tier is Empire Ears Legend Evo. This is another V-shaped IEM. Don't worry, I'm not going to put every V-shaped IEM in this tier. It's just like these ones I find like they're either too much so, like where the mids are way too recessed for me. This is way too base heavy, and it's quite warm but also muddy because of that reason. So yeah, like you up the base way too much, but the base is not really good quality. So because it's not so good quality, you end up with like this warm, muddy base, and there's like a lot of it. And also because of V-shaped, you don't have much mid-range either. And the technicalities are very average. So yeah, for $3,000 IEM, I don't think this is acceptable for me. So I'm gonna put this one in the D tier. It's probably my least favorite Empire Ears IEM. So yep, here it goes. Okay, so next is the Canara Thor King. Also kind of a disappointing IEM for me. I did like the Canara Loki, so yeah, Thor King I didn't like quite as much. The base is light, trebles forward. It's got slightly recessed mids, but I think the thing is not so much the tuning, but it's the technicalities are very below average. So yeah, for an IEM that costs about $2,500, it sounds like $1,000 IEM. So because of that, yeah, that's why I'm going to put it in the D tier here. Because it's like, if I'm going to, my tier ranking is based on like, okay, how good is your tuning? And then how much do I like your tuning? And then how good is the technicalities for the price? So that's how I'm ranking these IEMs. And these ones, yeah, technicalities I would say are below average for the price. So it kind of had the same issue that the Flip Ears Aurora had in my previous ranking video, where I ranked that one pretty low too because of the same reason. Like just below average technicalities, that's the issue. Also going to D tier is Final's new flagship IEM, the Final A10000. I know like some people might be surprised, you know, how could Final make such a bad IEM? But it's just like, you know, this is all my subjective impressions, right? I know some other people might like it. It's just for me, I don't like IEMs that are too overly bright and too treble forward. That's the thing. Like I'm kind of sensitive to treble, so I experience like sibilance easily and harshness easily, and it gets fatiguing for me. So the 10,000 is fairly bright. It's treble forward and it's a little bit harsh for me. It's not balanced because it's actually base light. So it's kind of like it's got the Noble Ragnar Viking issue where it's like, okay, well, the thing is, it's not even like the Noble Viking Ragnar. I put that in the B tier because at least the technicalities were very good on the Viking Ragnar. But on the A10000, I would say the technicalities are below average for the price. You're talking about $3,000 IEM. It does not sound like a $3,000 IEM. So it's like, compared to something like the Acoustune HS2000 MX Mark III that I had, yeah, there's no comparison. The details and everything is just below average for the price. So I had to put 18,000 here. It's not only below average technicalities, but I don't like the tuning either. It's way too bright and treble forward. And yeah, so both the tuning I don't like and the technicalities are below average here. I never tried the Final 8000s, but apparently those are pretty bright as well. Maybe even more bright than this from what I'm told. So yeah, I think if I didn't like the A10000s, I definitely wouldn't like the A8000s either. Up next is the Madoo Type 930. I think this is Madoo's flagship IEMs, retailing for about $2,400 US. Yeah, so Madoo, basically, they're a Japanese IEM brand that's not so well known outside of Japan. I think they're like more like you know, known by just mostly Japanese audiophiles probably, and people within the Japanese IEM industry. But to me, like, I haven't liked any of their IEMs, to be honest. None of their IEMs really appeal to me. They look interesting. They're built well, and they look really cool. Like this, it's got a really unique look, right? Kind of like a Dita IEM, but yeah, I haven't been able to get behind the sound of any of them. So this one, below average technicalities for the price. It's very bass light, and interestingly, the trebles and mids, they sound like they're really far away from you. So they don't even sound like they're like, so they're not forward. But it's like, usually if it's like, recessed, it's like, okay, if you're laid back, it's fine. If you're recessed, okay, I get it. That's part of the tuning. But like this one is like the soundstage is weird, where it sounds like it's far away from you. So yeah, a bit of a weird IEM. Didn't like the sound. So it could have been also been a fit issue, but I mean, just the way that these IEMs are, it's just like, yeah, it looks kind of weird, and the fit could be an issue for a lot of people. So anyways, I'm just saying that it sounded kind of weird to me. Didn't really like it. So also have here the Beat Audio Iridium Uno. That's right, Beat Audio, not to be confused with Beats. This is not the Apple-owned headphone brand. It's not the Beats by Dr. Dre, okay? This is a different company that usually makes cables. They usually make very overpriced IEM cables, but they also make IEMs as well. This is their $400 IEM, and I don't like them. I mean, first of all, yeah, they look kind of like the traditional earphones, but very V-shaped tuning. Technicalities are very average. Yeah, it kind of reminded me like it reminds me of like a worse version of the Mext. And I'm not gonna say like, hey, Mext is I tried the Mext again because I got it in the trade, and honestly it wasn't as bad as I initially thought in my previous ranking videos. It's not quite that bad, but these are like, yeah, these are definitely worse than Mext. So the technicalities definitely are not there and not as good. So anyways, I don't like these. I'm gonna put them in deterior. Also in the deterior is the Canalworks U18QD. Now Canalworks is another kind of niche Japanese IEM company. They mostly sell in Japan, and they usually focus on custom IEMs, but they do have a few universal models as well. And these ones are not like their flagships or anything. They have more expensive models. Unfortunately, they were not there for me to test out, so I can't comment on their more expensive stuff. But yeah, this one, I didn't like them. The harshness of the treble. So the treble is a little bit too harsh for me, and the mids were kind of neutral. Bass was also kind of okay. They were just like neutral level of bass, I guess, and technicalities were very average. But overall, yeah, average technicalities, but I didn't like the tuning too much. I thought the treble was a little bit too harsh for me. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one here. Okay, next is Aureolus Monaka. This is Aureolus's second from the top IEM in terms of price. So for Aureolus, they're like a Japanese IEM company. They're probably most famous for the Traily. The Traily is their flagship that retails for like $6,000 US, which is kind of crazy. It was actually the most expensive IEM in the market when it came out, I think back in 2018. But yeah, the Monaka is a more recent release, and it comes out for $2,000. Yeah, yeah, I think the issue with the Monaka is that it's got really nice like textured bass. However, the technicalities are very below average. I would consider this like tuning wise, it's kind of neutral with the bass boost. So it's not that the tuning is like all of that bad, but the technicalities are really not good. Definitely doesn't sound very detailed, and in fact, it sounded pretty veiled to me. So yeah, this the issue with this one is that the technicalities are below average for the price. So this sounded like a $1,000 IEM or below $1,000, to be honest. It has a PW audio cable with it too, but yeah, the technicalities were not good on this one. Even though the tuning is like not necessarily that bad, it's like neutral with the bass boost, but yeah, I didn't like the below average technicalities. So here it goes. So next is the Westone Mach 80, which is Westone's flagship IEM. Retails for $1,700 US. Yeah, I didn't like this one. Well, it's not that I didn't like it per se. It's just that it's not really good value. So Westone is like a pioneer of the IEM industry. They've been around for a long time. In fact, they were the original OEM manufacturers for Ultimate Ears. So before Ultimate Ears was like, taken over by Logitech and everything. Westone is actually making their IEMs in the beginning. And yeah, they've been making IEMs for a long time, mostly for like professional musician use. And I think for sure in Westone, I think it all reflects, and Ultimate Ears to a degree as well, it all reflects kind of their professional use. Because the tuning is very, very neutral. probably as neutral as you will get with an IEM. Like for a flagship level neutral IEM, if that's what you're looking for, like for engineers, musicians and stuff like studio, mastering engineers, people like that, they will appreciate this because like it's a pretty flat frequency response. But for audiophiles, I don't think we will necessarily like this. I think we'll find it very boring to listen to. It's yeah, it's quite neutral, so nothing is really sounding fun to me on this one. And the technicalities is below average, I would say, for the price. I mean, for the time it came out, it's probably pretty good, but nowadays it's like you can have IEMs that are way more detailed, I would say. But yeah, like if you want to have like a studio reference level IEM for monitoring and mixing, sure, but this is a good IEM for just being like a monitor IEM basically, but not for, you know, for stage musicians that makes sense, but not for like, you know, audiophiles. I don't think we'll like this kind of IEM. It's really not that fun at all to listen to. It's very very boring and clinical sounding. Next is the Campfire Astrolith, and this one I did not like either. It's way too V-shaped. Again, I don't like V-shaped. It's like recessed mids, right? Too much bass and treble drowns out the mids. Similar issue to the Legend Evo, but technicalities are also fairly average, I would say. It's not like above average at all, but you combine that with the V-shaped tuning that I don't like, so that's why it ends up here. Some people have talked about the Trifecta being like a worse version of this. I haven't tried Trifecta, it wasn't there, but yeah, if Trifecta is like a more muddier version of this, I already don't like Astrolith, so yeah, I'm gonna put it in D tier here. Okay, so another Madu here is gonna go in my D tier. This one's $2,000. Yeah, again, I don't like any Madu so far. Haven't been impressed with any of them. And yeah, it's just like, hey, they look interesting, right? That's about it. It's like, hey, it looks like, this one looks like it came out of BioShock. It's like got a steampunk type of look to it. It's built well. It looks interesting, but don't like it. It's got a U-shaped tuning, below average details and technicalities, and needs a lot of power to drive. So yeah, basically it's like this one, the tuning is like not necessarily as bad as the like 900 something, but it's more like, yeah, it's fairly below average sounding for the price. It's just the technicalities is like, I had no idea. This $2,000, I thought it was like below 1,000, to be honest. So really another one that's kind of really below average sounding for the price. Next is the C Audio Kaguya 2. This is from a Chi-Fi company, C Audio. I'm not too familiar with some of their stuff. I actually like the Hakuya though, but the Kaguya 2 didn't like so much. This one, detail and technicalities were fine, like they were average, but the treble's way too forward and it was too harsh for me. So yeah, basically that's what I thought. So yeah, and basically I'm treble sensitive, right? So yeah, anything with like a kind of peaky treble, or if the treble's too forward or anything like that, sounds too harsh and fatiguing for me. So yeah, I think the technicalities are okay, but it's just like I don't like the tuning on this one because I thought the treble was too much for me. So this is the Fityear TG335. Fityear is another one of those Japanese brands that don't really like market too much outside of Japan, I guess. Kind of like Madu and Canalworks and Acoustune. But yeah, this one I don't like because it's a little bit too V-shaped again. A lot of boomy bass, but it's not very high quality because it's BA bass. So yeah, bass heads will like it because it does have a lot of bass quantity, but I'm not a bass head. And the problem with this one is that, again, if you have too much bass, it drowns out the mids. So for me, I gotta have mids, right? So mids are like, for me, that's where the majority of my music lives. So yeah, if you don't don't have enough mids, and then you got the boomy, bad quality BA bass, so not for me. So also the FiO FA19. I think this one has the same issue as the Fityear TG335. A little bit too V-shaped for me, again, and also the bass is not good quality. It's, again, BA bass. It's got very average technicalities. Yeah, so basically, like, the Fityear, yes, it's a bit more technical sounding than this. Well, it should be because it's more expensive. But this has the same tuning issues. Like, you drown out the mids, and then you have way too much bass for me, and then the bass is like not good bass. It's the boomy, muddy BA bass. So yeah, not a big fan of this one. Yeah, in general, I think FiO, I think the FX17 should be the best. The other ones, I've not been impressed with their other IEMs so far. So also in this tier is the Shure SE846. This is the flagship Shure IEMs that retail for $900 US. Actually, they're now the flagship. They used to be their KSE 1500, but they don't make those electrostatics anymore. So yeah, the 846 they've been making for a while. It's been their flagship for a while now. Yeah, so the same issue applies when I was talking about the 215 at the beginning of this video. Like 846, it's still got below average technicalities, a little bit too bright for me. The treble is kind of dominating, and can be a bit harsh and fatiguing because it's also got the shouty upper mids. So this one has like, yeah, the bass is not that great. Treble is a little bit too harsh, and upper mids are too shouty. So yeah, and so on top of that, you got below average technicalities for the price. So yeah, the thing was with Shure and Westone stuff, I just think that they've been outclassed now by newer IEMs, basically. There's a lot more competition now than there was when they first debuted. I mean, I'm not trying to like hate on them, but it's just like, yeah, I know these American companies like Shure and Westone are pioneers when you're talking about part of the IEM industry, but yeah, they've been way outclassed now. Thing is, it's just way more competition. It's just what it is. That's the reality of things. Next is the Whizzer Kailin WCI53. I don't know too much about this company. This is like the first IEM I tried from them, but okay. Basically, the only thing I liked from these were the bass. Like, okay, the bass is decent, but that's about it. Treble is tinny sounding, and the technicalities are below average. So yeah, not very good. Overall, like the only good thing about them is that it has decent bass, but everything else about it, not very good. Yeah. So tinny treble, below average technicalities. Yeah. Just too much competition at this price range, I would say. Okay, so also I have Kiwi X HBB Punch. These ones also V-shaped. Mids are recessed, of course, because it's V-shaped, and below average technicalities. And what I put is that the bass is also not good quality. So it's one of those like V-shaped IEMs, but you got too much bass, the bass dominates, but it's also not good quality bass, so it ends up sounding muddy and also drowning out the mids. So yeah, not very good. I like the artistic design on this one though. Art is pretty good, but then yeah, not so much the sound. So also in this tier is the Etymotic ER4 SR. Etymotic is another one of those companies that's kind of a pioneer of the IEM industry. In fact, if you want to be technical, I think they kind of started it because they originally made like hearing aids and stuff, and they pioneered these ear tips with the flange. And I think they're kind of known for the flange ear tips, which can be uncomfortable to a lot of people. So yeah, the flange ear tips can be hard fit for some. The actual sound quality, I think it's just, this is the SR version, so that means it's got sort of a neutral frequency response compared to the XR version. But yeah, I didn't like it. It's neutral with a harsh treble boost, which is interesting. So yeah, it's got the harsh treble, and then the rest is neutral, and the bass is almost non-existent. So yeah, I guess if you were using this for like monitoring or mixing or something like that, okay, maybe, because it's so neutral, but then I think the Western Mach 80 would probably be better at that. I know it's more expensive, but yeah, I don't know. Didn't like these. And the technicalities are below average as well. It's just, yeah, a lot of these like pioneering American IEM companies like Etymotic and Westone and Shure, they've just been outclassed by newer IEMs. That's just how it is. They're relying, and I get that they pioneered the technology, but like they've been far surpassed by new IEM companies now. And this is like one balanced armature, right? Just one balanced armature is not going to cut it these days. So for $300, there's like way better competition right now. Okay, so next is the Neural Overture. So Neural is a Japanese headphone company and IEM company, and I've seen actually some of their products in Japan only. They actually make like wireless earbuds and stuff as well. But yeah, this is their, I guess, more like higher end IEM here, $450. They make some lower tier ones as well. But yeah, I didn't like these. Very V-shaped, treble upper mid forward. Can definitely sound overly harsh and fatiguing, and it's got average technicalities. So I just think there's probably better IEMs you can get for that price point. Yeah. So, yeah, so I like a lot of Japanese stuff. I think it's a little bit too bright for me and too fatiguing for me. So, I'm going to make a revision here. I had the unique melody mixed on the D tier in my previous ranking video. I'm going to move it to the C tier now because after I actually owned this IEM in a trade and I got it and I listened to it for a bit longer, actually, it's okay. You know, I'm not going to say I like it a lot or anything. It's still like too V-shaped for me. But I think it's not as bad as I originally thought. So the treble is not like too harsh or anything, so it's okay. The bass is not like too boomy or it drowns out the mids or anything. It doesn't like it's not that bad. Because now I've listened to a lot of other IEMs too, right? There's worse V-shaped IEMs than this. So yeah, to me, the UMX is going to be on the C tier because to me it's just like yeah, I think I was being a little bit too harsh on it before. It's actually an okay V-shaped IEM. It's not going to be, still not going to be like, I'm not really like it, but you know, it's decent. It's not bad. Yeah, I would say average technicalities. And if you like to have like a V-shaped IEM, then this is okay. You know, it's okay for the price. So I'm going to put it here. Next is the Acoustune RS1. This is from a Japanese IM company, Acoustune, who, and just like a lot of other Japanese companies, they don't market well outside of Japan. But yeah, it's okay. Decent amount of detail. Treble is a little bit too much. But yeah, it's okay for the price, I guess. Decent bass texture. Mids are okay. Overall, it's just kind of very mid for its price, I would say. And hey, mid IEMs go here. This is a C tier, right? It's average, it's mid. So yeah, I would say that this is just a fairly mid IEM for the price. The Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite. Overall, it's fairly balanced, I would say. It's like it got a similar U-shaped tuning to some of the Zagats, but the detail and technicalities are not up to the level of some of those Zagats. So yeah, like it's not up to the level of the Odyssey. It's not up to the level of the Arete. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. I mean, it's okay. It's just average. It's not above average in any way like those Zagats are. So yeah, gonna put it here. It's just decent tuning. Like, you know, I don't think anyone will like necessarily dislike it. It's just the technicalities are just okay, very average. There's probably like if you want something a little bit better, just get a Zagat. So final E5000. I think these ones overall technicalities are just average. So it's got an average amount of detail. It's a bit mid forward. Bass and treble light. So it's pretty mid focused, I would say, which is good. I like mids, but because the technicalities are also average, I'm going to put it in the C tier. So if you guys are looking for a kind of like a mid or vocal forward type of IEM with just average technicalities, you can check this one out. So it's all right. Yeah. So have the In Time Sora Neo. Not too familiar with this brand. I think this is like a pretty like niche, obscure, low-priced brand because this is a pretty budget IEM. But yeah, this one was okay. I said it was similar to the Acoustune RS1, which means that it's got average amount of detail, trebles a bit pushed forward and a bit bright, and it's got okay bass and mids. So that's basically what you can expect from this one. But yeah, it's just pretty average at $100. Yeah. So around this price, it's like, you know, you're not expecting too much. Okay, so the Audio-Technica E50. I put this one as very neutral tuning with average technicalities. So I liked it better than the other Audio-Technica, which was the I liked it better than the E70 actually because I don't like the V-shaped as much. Neutral's okay. I have a neutral feeling towards neutral, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's got a neutral tuning, which is okay for me, and it's got average technicalities. It's just average. So yeah, not bad. It's just okay. Ears Ether. This one has a pretty well balanced tuning. Reminds me of some of the Zagats as well as the Orchestra too, if you guys have heard that, but not as good technicality wise. So detail and technicality wise is just fairly average. Again, I would say if you're looking for something better at the price, yeah, I mean, this is okay, but there's probably better options. And then like I think just pay up a little bit more and get a Zagat instead. You'll get a pretty balanced tuning with better detail, and or just go for the Orchestra 2, which is basically a nice upgrade model with nice balanced tuning. But yeah, this one's just okay, very, very average in all aspects really. It doesn't really stand out. It's a little bit boring in terms of tuning, but it's not too bad. Other Kiwi ears are Rosso. I think most Kiwi ears I've listened to have all been very, very mid, very average. This one is more treble forward compared to the Ether. Still average technicalities and detail. It's just instead of being like more balanced, this one is a little bit more brighter, more focused on treble. So other than that, yeah, I find all these Kiwi ears just kind of okay-ish. Yeah, most of them are just pretty mid, I think, for me. It doesn't really stand out for me. TA Audio Prestige. I think this one is fairly average. I think that's all I thought about it is like didn't stand out in any way. It leans neutral in terms of tuning, which means that nothing is really like pushed up too much or recessed too much. It's just fairly neutral, balanced-ish, but with very average technicalities. So yeah, it's just an IEM that I kind of found boring and didn't really stand out very much. It's just okay, like, yeah, average, pretty much. It's just, yeah, this is just very, very mid IEM. So for the price, I mean, yeah, it's like okay, but it's like, yeah, there's probably more interesting, exciting IEMs at the price point, I would say. Okay, this is the Shanling AE10. So yes, Shanling also makes IEMs. They're more well known for making digital audio players and USB-C DACs and dongles and stuff like that. But no, they do make IEMs, and I think this is their flagship, $1,000 US. Anyways, decent mids and treble, I would say, has a good amount of clarity. Bass is a little bit on the light side. The treble might be a bit bright for some. Or a bit harsh for some, I think. But overall, it's okay for the price, I think. So yeah, overall, I think it's a decent amount of clarity. It's just like the bass might be a little bit too light for some people, and the treble might be a little bit too harsh for some people. Decent mids. Yeah, overall, it's not bad for the price. I'll just put it here. Next is the Unique Melody Stardust. This one, a little bit V-shaped, not too much V-shaped, but a little bit V-shaped. But when I listened to it, I thought the bass bled into the mids a bit. So it's like, yeah, the bass is not too good. It bleeds in the mids a bit. Technicalities are very average. So overall, I thought this was just okay. It's not like a bad V-shaped tuning because it's not like too much. But yeah, again, you know, it's just okay for the price. I think there probably is better stuff at the price, but then it's not the worst thing at its price either. So anyways, I'm putting it in C tier here. I tried the U4S again. I had this in my last IEM ranking video too, and I had it in the C tier. I just put this one here because I did try this again. And yeah, I tried an earphone again, and I think my thoughts did not change. It's still in the C tier for me. It's V-shaped with average technicalities. So hey, if you're looking for a decent yeah, like an average decent V-shaped IEM, you can check it out. So I think it's fairly like mid for me though. So yeah, for 64 audio IEM, it's okay. I think my thoughts and feelings did not change on this one. I'm keeping the C tier ranking for this. Also in the C tier, I'm going to put the Westone Mach 60, and yes, it is a higher level than the Mach 80 because I think this one is not quite as overpriced as the Mach 80. I think Mach 80 is a bit overpriced. 60 is it's okay. It's got average technicalities. It's not quite as neutral as the Mach 80, but it's still fairly neutral. It's like a neutral with a treble boost, so it's like neutral bright. So it's okay. I mean, I think for the price, it's like not quite as bad value compared to the 80. Yeah, I think like 80 is like, it really will sound boring to people because it's like really dead neutral. Yes, the technicalities are a little bit better, but it's like dead neutral. 60, yeah, has a little bit of treble energy to it, so some people might enjoy it better. So anyways, I'm putting this one a little bit higher tier than the Mach 80, although still not, you know, still not great. I don't think any Westone IEM will make it into my above average tiers. But yeah, here's this one. The first Flip Ears IEM on this list. Flip Ears is a Filipino IEM brand, and the Arthur Agentum. which actually has tuning switches as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this one I think is just fairly average. Like it's not bad, but like for 2,000 bucks, yeah, average technicalities. W-shaped type of tuning, which means that it's got like a little bit of a bass push, a little bit of treble push, a little bit upper mid boost as well. So it's like fairly balanced sounding. So tuning's all right. It's just technicalities like detail, soundstage are all very average sounding for the price. You could probably do better for the price, but it's not bad. Like tuning wise is fine. Nothing, yeah, nothing too crazy. Yeah, I think a lot of people will still like the tuning on it. So now we have QDC, which also makes a huge range of IEMs as well. Yeah, the Annul V14, which is one of their flagships at $3,000. I found this one to be quite average. Technicalities were average. Mids and treble were forward. Yeah, it sounded actually quite like White Tiger to me, except everything had obviously more detail, because White Tiger is a lower end IEM for them. But overall, it's still kind of average for me at this price, because $3,000, you know, like, yeah, compared to other $3,000 IEMs, yeah, this is just, it's okay for the price, you know, reasonably well balanced and tuned. Yeah, I think that the mids and treble, I think if you like that, then it has decent mids and treble, but overall, I think you can probably find some better IEMs at this price range. At the same time, it's not too bad, you know. I think the tuning overalls, just think of QDC White Tiger just with, you know, more technicalities overall. So it's okay. I also put White Tiger on the C tier as well. So Nostalgia Audio Durandal. I like most of Nostalgia's IEMs. I think they're tuned fairly well. The Durandal, I think it's okay. This might be one of the IEMs I just find just okay from them. I didn't like it as much as Camelot, not as much as Tesseract, and definitely not as much as Pendragon, but it's okay. It's got an energetic tuning. It's got forward treble, so it's a little bit, you know, on the bright side. Good clarity because of that. Slightly bass light, I would say, only because like the treble and the upper mids are forward. And compared to that, the bass is not as much. Technicalities overall are average for the price, I would say. So overall, it's okay. Compared to Camelot, I think I still like Camelot better. Camelot has more bass, I think. Technicalities are similar, but yeah, this I think Durandal is a bit more bass light compared to Camelot. They're both similar in a way, though. Like Camelot is also kind of energetic. Technicalities level, yeah, similar, but yeah, I just like Camelot a little bit better because I found like the tuning is a little bit more balanced compared to Durandal. But they both look nice, though. I mean, Nostalgia always makes really nice looking IEMs, so that's always a bonus. Next is Noble Shogun. This is an IEM that honestly looks a lot better than it sounds. I mean, it looks actually really amazing. That shell is really, really cool and faceplate. But yeah, sound-wise, I don't really like it too much. I mean, it's okay. It's got average technicalities. I mean, for $4,000 almost, it's gonna sound pretty good technicalities-wise. But I don't think it sounds above its price range, and definitely not like it's not going to be competitive against like Novo Chronos, right, or anything. Or even Viking Ragnar. It doesn't have the level technicalities as Viking Ragnar either. What it does have is a lot of bass. So I think this is an interesting one because Noble is usually known for treble, right? Like Viking Ragnar, Kublai Khan, etc. They're known for like Khan as well. They're known for treble. But Shogun is all about the bass. A lot of boomy bass. So I personally, it's not my thing, you know, but if you like your bass and yeah, you want to get like a very, I think this is a pretty expensive IEM, like a 4K level IEM with a lot of bass, then yeah, try out Shogun. I think this is like a bass head Noble basically, with a pretty good bass, but it's just not my thing. So anyways, I think the technicalities though, in general, is probably average. It's not really my tuning, but I'll put it here because I know like if you're a bass head, you might like it. One is the AAW Mokara. AAW is a Chi-Fi brand. I don't know how exactly you're supposed to pronounce it, like ah or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, this is like close to their flagship, I think, $2,000 US. Yeah, this one's also okay. It's like U-shaped with average detail technicality soundstage for the price. Slightly harsh treble, not like really fatiguing or harsh or anything like that, but just like a little bit on the bright side. But other than that, it's okay. Yeah, if you're looking for a decent U-shaped IEM with like average technicalities, you might check it out. But for me, didn't stand out all too much. It was just okay. Another flip ears here. So flip ears, you always gotta like give them props for having really cool looking faceplates. But yeah, this one's another one's just okay. I don't think like for flip ears, there's not like an IM that I really love from them. They're just most of them have this like boomy kind of muddy bass. So the flip ears Legion I had in the C tier as well in my previous ranking video. I think this is essentially like a more technical version of the Legion. So the Legion is like, I think that was around $800 or something like that. So this is obviously more expensive, but it's like a higher end Legion. So it's got a similar sound signature. It's got that same warm, boomy, slightly muddy bass, I guess, from the Legion, but it's more technical. So yeah, it's, you know, technicalities, detail, resolution, soundstage is going to be better than the Legion, but you still got similar sound signature, which means that you have that warm, boomy bass still. So if you like that, yeah, you can check out the Arian. But for me, I'm not too much into that sound signature. I don't like to have a lot of warm, boomy bass. That's not for me. But you know, for people who enjoy that, then this is okay. So I'm putting it in this tier. It's like essentially an upgraded Legion. Okay, so the Dunu X Fit Ear Kaoru, this is a collaboration that the Chi-Fi company Dunu did with Japanese company Fit Ear. Technically, if you were to say this is like a Dunu IEM, this could be Dunu's flagship because it actually is more expensive than their Glacier. But yeah, it's just okay. I think this has lots of clarity and treble and very upper mid forward as well. But it might be fatiguing for some people. So yeah, for me, this is another one of those like Japanese tuned IEMs, I would say, which is like you got the Fit Ear influence in here, maybe not too surprising, but I think like in general, Japanese headphones and IEMs tend to be bright and upper mid focused as well. So yeah, this one is definitely like that. It's got the bright treble, upper mid forward, and lots of clarity like you would expect from a Japanese IEM. But it's really not for me. I don't like the tuning too much. I think that kind of reminds me of some of the upper, like higher end Audio Technicas as well. It's kind of like that. But yeah, this is like, I call this Japanese tuning because a lot of Japanese IEMs and headphones have this tuning in the high end where like they really accentuate the upper mids and the treble. But yeah, it's okay. I would say if you're into your upper mids and treble, definitely you can check it out. But it's not really for me. So I have the Nice Hick Rockies. I don't know if that's the way I'm supposed to pronounce it, but Nice Hick. They're a Chinese IEM brand or Chi-Fi brand that mostly makes very affordable cables and IEMs. I think this is a flagship, actually, $500 US. Yeah, so they don't really go too expensive, but yeah, this one is also just okay. It's neutral, I would say, with the bass boost. So it's like neutral with bass boost. Yeah, so you can think of it as treble is, I guess you would consider slightly recessed compared to your typical V-shaped IEMs or W-shaped IEMs, and then the mids are maybe a little bit forward compared to your typical V-shaped ones, and then the bass is still got that V-shaped boost to it. Technicalities are pretty average for the price. So yeah, another one's that's just okay. Didn't really impress me all too much. Let's continue the Chi-Fi here. I have the Tanschim Origin Lost Manor. This is a Chi-Fi company that's probably most well known for making, well, not only cheaper IEMs, but specifically I think they're known for putting anime girls and waifus on all their stuff. I know Moondrop does some of this too, but Tanschim is like the biggest culprit when it comes to putting anime girls everywhere. So yeah, they even have one on the faceplate here. Anyways, I think this is their flagship, $500 US. Same price as the Nice Hick Rockies, and I think that's what I put here. It's like it's pretty much similar to the Nice Hick Rockies. So neutral with the bass boost, similar to the Nice Hick Rockies, except this one has slightly more bass than the Rockies. So yeah, like Rockies had a little bit of a bass boost, and then the Tanschim Origin Lost Manor has like even more of a bass boost, I guess. But it's still not like overwhelming or anything like that, but it's, you know, slightly more bass, and then technicalities are average. So yeah, basically it's like the Nice Hick Rockies with a slightly more bass, I guess, but pretty similar tier. The Fit Ear TG334. Man, the Japanese IEMs always gotta like, or Japanese headphones and products in general, actually, they all have like this machine name. Like the names are always kind of like just reads off like a merchandise SKU basically. I think they're not very creative with their names. But yeah, this one's neutral balanced, which means actually mid forward, because if you think about it, neutral actually is mid forward to a lot of people because you don't have pushed up bass and you don't have pushed up treble, and a lot of people are used to pushed up bass and pushed up treble because of the V-shaped type sound signature that's everywhere. So when people hear neutral, they're used to the V-shaped, like they're used to boosted bass and treble, and then they'll think it's actually mid-forward. But yeah, this is fairly neutral, and by neutral, like people will perceive it as mid-forward because the mids are not recessed, that's why, with average technicalities on this one. So I will put this one as a C tier, because yeah, technicalities are average, and then tuning is fairly neutral. So if you like that, it's okay, I guess. Yeah, I actually preferred this a bit more over the more expensive TG335s. Campfire Solaris Stellar Horizon. This is the newest iteration of the Campfire Solaris, which they've been making for a while. Yeah, I'm also going to put this in the same tier as the original Solaris and the Solaris X, which I listened before. All the Solaris I've listened to I've always put in the C tier because honestly, like that's just where they are for me. Like they just sound kind of mid. Like their sound signature is fine. It's like kind of got this, it's fairly balanced sound signature. Stellar Horizon, though, yes, it's more detailed, I would say, than the original Solaris. It has good clarity. Yeah, detailed, good treble clarity. But the upper mids and the treble a little bit too forward, and it gets a little bit harsh and fatiguing for me because I am like, I'm sensitive to shouty upper mids and I'm sensitive to harsh treble. So for me, yeah, didn't really like him that much, but still I'm gonna put this in C tier along with the other Solaris IEMs because I do recognize, like, technically yes, it's a bit more superior to the original Solaris and Solaris X, but the tuning is not quite up my alley. I think I actually prefer probably Solaris X or the original Solaris tuning a little bit more, even if they're not quite as technical as Stellar Horizon. But yeah, in general, I think I would put all the Solaris I've listened to on the C tier and all the Andromedas I've listened to on the B tier, because I just think that's how it's gone for me. The 64 Audio U12T, it's got a slight V-shape type tuning, not too much so, just like a little bit of a V-shape. Very good bass actually on this, and technicalities are kind of average. I would say, like, by this time, it's kind of like an older design, and I would say, yeah, by 2026, you can probably find a few more better IEMs for the $2,000 price point than the U12T. It's pretty much been outclassed now. I understand, like, at the time it came out, it's probably one of the better IEMs, but yeah, for the $2,000 price point is very competitive right now. So it's not going to beat, like, the UMS Jet Black. It's not going to beat the Spectrumica. Like, those are kind of my standards for $2,000. U12T does not quite stand at that level, but it's okay. For what it is, it's just kind of average right now. So yeah, was probably very good when it came out, but now it's just kind of just average. So now we have Ultimate Ears, another pioneer of the IEM industry. They came out with some of the first IEMs on the market for consumers. And this is the UE18 Plus Pro. I would say that in general, the newer Ultimate Ears, unlike the West Tones and the Sures I talked about in Edimonics, unlike the other older guys, Ultimate Ears, I'd say their IEMs still sound fairly good. Now, I didn't actually test any JH Audio because they didn't have any. I would assume that JH Audio would kind of follow after this because, Jerry Harvey made Ultimate Ears and also made JH Audio. But yeah, it's unfortunate I didn't get to hear many JH Audio lately because, yeah, they're not at any of these headphone stores, and nobody around me really has JH Audio stuff anymore. My last experience was with Michelle, and that was like way back in like 2020, or 2019. So yeah, I would have liked to experience Layla, but anyways, yeah, the UE18 Plus Pro. Its technicalities are average, I would say. It's neutral with a slight treble boost. So overall, the balance, I think, is okay. If you're looking for like something with a neutral, with slight treble boost and yeah, if that's what you're looking for, then you can check it out. Technicalities are fairly average, but overall, I think this one is tuned a lot better than any of the West Tone stuff and Shure stuff that I listen to. So Ultimate Ears has, yeah, their IEMs are actually fairly decent, I would say. But this one is just okay. So I put it right at this tier. 64 Audio Solo. I believe this is the 64 Audio's first IEM with an all planar driver. I saw this one a few times. I never got to try it out until I was here, right, at Earphone. But I was always a bit curious about it, right, because I did see them online with a lot of people selling them. But yeah, it's okay. It's got average amount of detail and technicalities and soundstage. Tuning is leaning neutral, I would say, with slightly forward mids and slight bass boost. So overall, it's okay. Just the tuning is overall not bad, and it's got just average amount of detail and technicalities. So it's just okay. Just be warned that it does need a lot of power to drive because it's a single planar magnetic planar driver, I believe. Yes, the one planar driver, but it needs a lot of power because planar drivers usually need a lot of power. So yeah, I think it's overall okay though. So yeah, 64 Audio Solo is just average for me. Next is the Canalworks U17QD. This one is neutral tuning with average detail and technicalities, but I do like the mids on these. So average in terms of technicalities, but the tuning is not bad. Because it's neutral tuning, right? Yeah, you're going to experience it as mid-forward. Most people will anyways, because people who are used to recessed mids and pushed up bass and treble, yeah, if you bring that back down to more neutral setting, the mids are going to be a little bit more forward sounding. So yeah, decent amount of mids on this one, and yeah, overall I do like the tuning. It's just the technicalities are a bit more average for me. So yeah, it's okay. So up next is the SimGot EM10. I think SimGot is another Chi-Fi company. Yeah, this one is a pretty decent warm bass texture, I would say. Average technicalities, and overall tuning is like neutral with a bass boost. So yeah, you have a bit of that boosted warm bass, and then technicalities and soundstage detail are kind of average. Overall leans neutral, I would say. But yeah, not bad. It's just okay. So next up is the Ear Acoustics SPA-LE. The LE stands for limited edition. This one is okay too, average technicalities. I think I'm just putting a bunch of IEMs with average technicalities on the C tier because it is the average tier for me. Good bass or decent bass, I would say. It is V-shaped. It's not so bad where it's like, oh, it's like drowning out the mids too much. That would go in the D tier. But I think like the bass quality was enough for me to put it in the C tier, I think. But I can't put it any higher because I'm still not a huge fan of V-shaped, and it's still got average technicalities. But yeah, overall, just okay. Next one is the QOA Margarita. I'm not too familiar with this brand either. This one, yeah, it has a balanced, like, kind of W-shaped tuning, which means it's got like a bit of a bass push, a bit of a treble boost, and a bit of a mid-range push. Technicalities are kind of average. I did note that it needs lots of power, so I think this has Sony and electrostatics in it, right? This does need quite a bit of power, but yeah, overall not bad. It's okay. If you're looking for like a nice balanced tuning, average technicalities, yeah, it's okay. So that's where it belongs in this tier, I guess. So this one is Soft Ears RS10. It's from the Chinese company Soft Ears. This is not their flagship. The Enigma is. I've always wanted to try the Enigma, but unfortunately never had the chance. But if the Enigma is close to the RS10 in tuning, then I can kind of get an idea of what it's about, because the RS10 is very well balanced, I would say. It's got this neutral, well balanced type of tuning. Reminds me a bit of the UMS to Jet Black. So it's a good tuning, but the technicalities are very average. So for the price, I would say probably if you're looking for something that's got that neutral balance tuning, I think the UMS Jet Black is still the way to go. Or even Spectromica for around the same price, because I think those ones will beat this out in technicalities. So that's why I put in a C tier. It's not like it's bad or anything, because it's got a fairly good tuning that most people will like. Well balanced, nothing is too much or too little, but at the same time, I think you can probably do better at the price in terms of the detail in soundstage and resolution. So I think you can probably do better in terms of technicalities. Eddie ER4XR. So this is basically Eddie flagship. It's co-flagship actually, because I talked about the SR version already. So the XR I like better than the SR version. The SR version I said was like, it's kind of neutral with like a treble push that makes it a little bit bright, and then it's got almost no bass. The XR version has a bit of a bass push, not too much of it. It's just got like a slight bass push. Technicalities are fairly average, and yeah, it's like neutral with a bass boost essentially, and it's okay. Like I said, Eddie like the thing is they've been overtaken in technology now. They were pioneers of the IEM industry, but now they're a lot of things better than them. The flanged ear tips might not fit well in everyone's ears. It might hurt some people. That's another thing. That's why you don't see many flanged ear tips anymore. But yeah, overall, I like these better than the SR version. I do like to have that slight bit of bass boost. And it's not too much, just a little bit of a bass boost. So yeah, it's like neutral with a slight bass boost, and overall it's okay. Yeah, it might be perceived as a bit mid forward because it is kind of got this neutral tonality, which actually pushes the mids forward for a lot of people. Next is Noble X. This is a collaboration they did with Mass Drop, and it's Noble's cheapest IEM. It's only 250 bucks. So yeah, I mean, for this price, it's okay. It's average. Everything's just kind of average. It's like, okay, it's well balanced for Noble. It's not really treble forward compared to some of their upper tier IEMs. It's not like as treble forward as Viking Ragnar or anything. It's still a little bit energetic though, because it still keeps that Noble house sound where they lean a little bit more detail in the treble and trying to make it energetic sounding. Because if you do put more detail into the treble, make it a little bit more forward, it will sound more energetic. So it is doing that, but at the same time, it's like not doing it too much. Overall, it's well balanced, I would say, and it's average technicalities for the price point. I mean, it's okay. It's not going to blow anyone away, but it's all right. So I also have the Moondrop Illustrious. These are the most expensive Moondrop IEMs. So these are the flagship Moondrops. Apparently just one dynamic driver on these. So Moondrop usually makes like cheaper IEMs, right? This one's okay though. It's got very average technicals for me, and it's got a V-shaped tuning. So I'm not a huge fan of V-shaped tuning, right? Pushes up the bass, pushes up the treble, and then the mids are recessed. And then the technicals are just okay-ish. So yeah, it's not bad, but also nothing special, I would say, for 900 bucks. So anyways, yeah, the flagship Moondrop, I was just like, nah, it's okay. If you're looking for V-shaped tuning, it's fine, but it's probably better ones here. So moving on to the B tier now, which is above average in my opinion in some way. The QDC Superior, this is a budget offering from QDC. It's got above average technicalities for the price point. I mean, it's only like, what, 120 bucks? Pretty above average, I would say, in terms of technicalities. Soundstage is okay, but the detail was above average. Bass is fairly hard-hitting, and it's got a nice W-shaped tuning. So overall, it sounded pretty fun. And it's got decent bass and above average detail. Yeah, not bad. So put this one here. Yeah, it's above average to me. So now we come to Zagat, and Zagat is a Chi-Fi company that, in my opinion, they make a bunch of really well-tuned IEMs, all kind of around the same price range, which is like less than 500 bucks. Yeah, like we start with Arete here. Arete's got very solid bass, and both in quantity and in quality, I would say. Mids and treble are decent. It's got maybe a U-shaped-ish tuning, I would say, but it sounds very fun, and it's got a good amount of detail. So yeah, fun sounding, good amount of detail, solid amount of bass, and yeah, overall, I think it's well tuned, and yeah, it's got above average technicalities, I would say. So putting this tier. Fair warning is that all these Zagats are pretty much going to be like around this tier, because like to me they're all tuned well, and they all like do stuff above average, and they sound fairly close to each other, just looking with minor differences. So the Arcadia sounds pretty close to the Arete, which means that like it's got a good amount of detail and everything, but this one has a bit more in bass quantity. The bass has still got good quality, just like the Arete, but it's got a little bit more quantity to it. So that actually pushes this more into bass head territory almost, because the Arete actually did have a lot in bass quantity as well, but the Arcadia just has even more. So this one, I would say, is almost like a bass head quality IEM, on a budget, that is. So yeah, if you're like bass head and you want to have a good amount of bass and you're on a budget, check this one out. So we have another Zagat here. They're all tuned like roughly similar to each other, around the same price range as well. Similar to Arcadia and Arete in detail. So detail wise, these are all like above average, except the tuning on the Odyssey is a bit more balanced. It's not quite as bass heavy as either the Arete or the Arcadia. So yeah, overall, I would say like most people will probably enjoy this one. Yeah, it's a nice balanced W-shaped tuning and solid above average amount of detail. So out of all the Zagats, this might be one of the best in this price range, I think. I would recommend that most people would enjoy because it works, you know, well with most kinds of music. Yeah, I would probably consider the Odyssey probably the best all-arounder out of these three that I'm talking about so far. Another Zagat IEM here. I'm telling you guys, they're all pretty much above average. This is the Lush. This one, honestly, is sounded pretty close to the Arete for me, which means that it's kind of U-shaped with like above average technicalities and detail, I guess. I couldn't really tell too much of a difference. Like maybe the Lush is slightly less detail because it's like cheaper. Like Arete is like slightly more expensive, but like honestly, the price difference here and the tuning differences is so marginal in this case. I would say that the differences are fairly minor between Lush and Arete. Or between all these Zagats actually. Yeah, I don't know. This one just sounded kind of like Arete. Just it's cheaper, cheaper, maybe slightly less detail. I don't know, but sounds pretty close. Okay, so the Kiwi Ears Septet. This one does not look like the other Kiwi Ears. It actually looks kind of unique. I think they might be using like planar electrostatics here because it does require quite a bit of power to drive. So yeah, usually Kiwi Ears do not require that much power, but the Septet does require a bit more power than your typical IEM. And it's got similar U-shaped tuning, I would say, to the Orchestra Lite, except it's got better treble detail. So I would put this above average tier because it does things a bit better than some of the other Kiwi Ears. So it's got solid U-shaped tuning, but with better treble detail. So yeah, not bad. I'll put this in above average for Kiwi Ears at least, and probably on par with some of the Zagats. So this one is by Radius, which I think is another kind of like smaller Japanese IEM company. But yeah, this one is okay. It was actually, I liked it. It was V-shaped, but the quality of the bass and treble is actually really, really good. And it's got above average detail and soundstage, which means it's got above average technicalities. I know it's V-shaped, and I usually don't like V-shaped, but in this case, it was punching really above its price. So yeah, for 120 bucks, I mean, yeah, this is, and I know it looks weird, but yeah, honestly, it was fairly impressive to me. So yeah, I'm going to put it in this tier here. Melody Wing Venus. I think this is another Chi-Fi company. I'm not too familiar with them. But yeah, when I listened to them, it was actually pretty solid. Above average detail, nice U-shaped type tuning, and it's got good bass texture. So yeah, overall, I think I was fairly impressed with this for the price. Yeah, I think for the price, this is another pretty solid one to check out, the Melody Wing Venus. So it's decent bass and above average technicalities and decent U-shaped tuning, I would say. The In Time Mark II. This one, I think In Time might be Japanese, I'm not sure. But it's got a pretty well-balanced W-shaped tuning, and it's got solid amount of detail and texture just across the board. So yeah, treble, mids, bass are all fairly well-tuned and honestly pretty solid. I was fairly impressed with this one too. So I know they look kind of weird and maybe they just look like oddly shaped earphones, but yeah, to me they're pretty good actually. Well balanced and above average technicalities. So the Dunu Glacier, this is the flagship IEM for Dunu, I believe. Dunu usually makes a lot of cheaper IEMs, but yeah, this one's pretty good. It's V-shaped, so it's got an energetic type sound signature, right? So you got pushed up bass, pushed up treble. I would say above average technicalities for the price. I mean, Not that it's really that cheap, but I think it's very competitive at the price. It's at the same price as A-Fold Dawn X, right? So I think competitive with A-Fold Dawn X. It's just more V-shaped, and yeah, technicalities are pretty solid. So overall, if you're looking for like nice energetic V-shaped IEM, you can check out the Dunu Glacier. It's not bad. Acoustune HS1900X. I always find like the more expensive Acoustunes like this to be very cool looking. Yeah, they definitely look very unique and very well built. I think the fit might be different for everyone because yeah, it's got such a unique shape. But yeah, this one's pretty decent. It's got a very energetic type of tuning, treble forward. You'll find this on a lot of Acoustune and Japanese IEMs in general. So you got this treble forward type of tuning with lots of clarity and detail in the treble, and very energetic and overall highly detailed. And it's leans V-shaped, I would say. It's not exactly like a heavy V-shape, but it definitely leans V-shaped, but it's got a nice energetic sound to it. So if you guys are looking for a nice energetic IEM, you can check it out. This is kind of like the little brother to the HS2000MX, which shares a similar sound signature, I'd say. Acoustune HS2000MX. This is their former flagship because they have different iterations. This is the first iteration, the Mark I. This is basically like the HS1900X, but with more detail and more soundstage. So essentially, it's got similar tuning, which means very energetic, treble forward, except it's got even better technicalities. So yeah, you're getting even better treble. The 1900X already had pretty good treble, but you're getting even more treble, even better ones. Lots of clarity, and then larger soundstage. So overall, if you like 1900X, you'll like the HS2000MX too. So I also have the HS2000MX Mark II as well in the same tier. So this is the second iteration of their flagship. Sounds pretty similar to Mark I, the major difference being that this one has a bit more bass. The Mark I and 1900X are kind of bass light, I would say. And then Mark II adds a bit more bass, and the bass is very well textured. So yeah, but you keep everything else along with it, the soundstage, the detail, especially in the treble, the energetic tuning. So everything else is there, just adds a bit more bass, which is nice. But I would say overall it's not like a significant, huge difference between the Mark I, so I'm putting in the same tier. So QDC Studio 8SS, this one I have in my notes that it reminded me of A-Fold Dawn X, which is actually a good thing because A-Fold Dawn X was a very solid competitor at around, what, $1,300? And this one it's like a Dawn X type tuning, which means it's very well balanced W-shaped tuning, which means it's got a bit of a bass boost, bit of an upper mid boost, bit of a treble boost. Overall, it will suit well with most genres. Also sounds fairly fun. It's solid detail and technicalities across the board. So it's basically like a slightly better Dawn X. And it makes sense because the price is just a little bit more expensive than Dawn X. So it's like a slightly better Dawn X. And Dawn X was B tier for me when I had it on my previous IEM ranking video. So yeah, this one will go in the same tier. The Maritz Enzo. I'm not too familiar with Maritz audio, but yeah, the Enzo, I think this one, the thing that stands out to me about it is that it leans V-shaped. It's not too V-shaped, but it definitely leans V-shaped. Detail and technicalities are average, but the thing that puts it on the B tier is the bass. It actually has really incredible bass. The bass is just so textured and it's very slammy, and it's got yeah, the punch and the rumble. So yeah, the bass really does stand out to me on this, which puts it in the B tier for me. So overall, I would say average technicalities, leans V-shaped, but it has really, really good bass. So anyways, that puts it in the B tier for me. All right, so the Dita Ventura, this is the flagship IEM for Dita Audio, and $4,800 US, so it's pretty much like a 5K IEM. It's probably the most expensive one dynamic driver IEM on the market, and probably one of the best sounding too. Honestly, this is a great sounding IEM, especially for one dynamic driver, but I put on the B tier because I do feel like for the technicalities, it's a bit overpriced. Like the technicalities are good, especially for one dynamic driver, but they're not going to compete with other 5K IEMs. I mean, you're talking about a price tier where you have, well, if you look at 4K, right? Forte Ears, Macbeth, Hercules Audio's Moses, Noble Chronos, right? The Roma Fei Wan, Like you're talking about like UN Multiverse Mentor, like all these IEMs that are just incredible at this tier. And I don't think the Ventura quite matches up to them. And it's as or more expensive. So I think it's a bit overpriced. That's why I can't put it in the A tier. But overall, it is well balanced. It's got an energetic yet kind of balanced type of tuning. So it's like kind of this energetic W-shaped tuning, which is nice. It's not like overdoing it too much. It's got very detailed treble and bass. Solid technicalities. I just think it's not up to the price point, basically. Like you're paying a lot, basically, because it's a very over-engineered one dynamic driver IEM. Sounds really, really good for one dynamic driver, but yeah, I don't think it's worth that price. Like the Dita Perpetua, I put in the A tier because it's not quite as expensive as this, and honestly, like they're not. Perpetua is not too far off. Ventura is like, yes, it is more technical and is more energetic than Perpetua. Perpetua is like more relaxed sounding, more laid back. But yeah, I think that you're paying like what, $1,800 more than Perpetua. You're not getting that much better sound out of it, in my opinion. So anyways, it's still a good IEM. I'm just not going to put it like in the crazy Summit 5 tier, even though it's got crazy Summit 5 price to it. Okay, this is the flagship or co-flagship QDC, I should say, the Emperor. The other flagship being the King, right? The King is kind of like a more balanced tuned Emperor, I guess. The Emperor is a little bit more energetic and V-shaped. So anyways, yes, it's got this energetic V-shaped tuning, which like normally I don't really prefer, but this one does it well. It's got above average technicalities. You got a really good amount of detail, resolution, and soundstage just across the board. It sounds really, really detailed. Yeah, good treble. Mids are a little bit recessed, right? But yeah, good treble and bass. And if you guys are looking for pretty much like a flagship V-shaped tuned IEM, you can check it out. Yeah, and if you guys want a little bit more balanced tuning, just go for the King instead. Okay, so Rapsodio Montage. I haven't talked about this IEM company yet too much, but Rapsodio is I think it's a Chinese IEM company, and they make some crazy expensive IEMs in the high end. And this is already fairly expensive, but they actually make like a $30,000 IEM, which is nuts. Yeah, so they also make the Supreme V3, which is actually one of my favorite IEMs. But yeah, the Montage. This one is pretty good. It's got an energetic type of tuning, treble forward. Technicalities like soundstage and detail are all very good across the board. So good amount of detail, decently wide soundstage. I don't think it's quite as good as the Supreme V3, but it's Supreme V3 I believe is a bit more expensive too. But yeah, the Montage is not bad. I would put in this category. It's pretty much on the same tier as the QDC Emperor, I'd say. Okay, so next is the Empire Ears Odin Mark II. This is the flagship IEM from Empire Ears. Yeah, this one I would say is a bit more energetic than the Mark I. Odin Mark I I think was fairly energetic and forward, kind of W-shaped sound signature. This one energetic and leans V-shaped. So I personally prefer Odin Mark I a bit better, actually. That's why I have Odin Mark I in the A tier. And also at the time it released, Odin Mark I was like one of the best IEMs on the market. Odin 2 releases, it's got more competition and everything. And I actually prefer like Mark I's tuning slightly more. I think this is like a little bit too V-shaped for me. Mark 1 is like not quite as much as Mark 2, I think. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, technicalities and everything are there, right? Soundstage and detail. Like Odin Mark 1 was already quite good in technicalities, and then Odin Mark 2 is on another level there. And you'd expect that for this price point. It is a $4,000 IEM after all. So anyways, yes, I would say this is probably on this tier. It's for $4,000 IEM. I mean, yeah, I still prefer the Mark I though a bit more. Okay, so Empire Ears Raven also going this tier as well. I would say the Raven also kind of leans energetic V-shaped tuning, kind of like the Mark II or the Odin Mark II, but this one focuses a lot more on the bass. So Mark II just has Odin Mark II just has okay bass, decent. But Raven has very high quality bass. So I would say, yeah, if you guys, want very good, well-textured, high-quality punch and slam in their bass, and you like V-shaped sound signature, energetic sound signature, Raven's a good one to go for. And like honestly, like Odin Mark II, yes, a little bit better in technicalities, but it's not too far off. So yeah, I mean, for the price, it's okay. I mean, it's you can pay a bit more for Odin Mark II if you want the technicalities, but if you want the bass, I would say get the Raven instead. So the Astel & Kern X64 Audio Zio. So this is based on the 64 Audio Neo, but of course it has some input from Astel & Kern's tuning as well. This one sounds a lot like Raven actually. So I just talked about the Empire Ears Raven. Sounds pretty similar because it's got the energetic V shape with high quality bass as well. So yeah, I would say that if you like the Empire Ears Raven, then you can check out the Zio. Actually, the Zio is a bit cheaper. So yeah, this one to me, it's got fairly similar tuning and technicalities to Raven. So yeah, it's got the energetic V-shaped with high quality bass. So if you like that, then you can check out the Zio too. So the Jomo Nautic Stellar. I haven't talked about Jomo Audio too much yet in my IEM rankings, but they're from Singapore and they've been on the scene for a while actually. Just really didn't run into anyone that had any Jomos around in my group. But hey, I actually finally got the chance to try these ones. I was actually curious to try them, especially because the appearance. I really do like the faceplate too. Anyways, yeah, this is pretty solid IEM. It's got a lot of clarity and detail to it. It's a good treble clarity, and it is treble forward and leans bright. And it's got kind of neutral level mids and bass, I would say. So I would recommend this one to people who really like their treble. So it's got a lot of good clarity and detail. Mids are decent as well. It's not like too much bass or anything. But yeah, this one is definitely, I would say, leaning more towards treble heads. But yeah, overall, not bad. I think it's fairly well tuned, but leaning more towards people who like treble, I think. So definitely more bright and detailed sounding and more clarity in that level. So next up is the FIR Project K. FIR is a company founded by, I think, the previous lead of 64 Audio. So he brought a lot of the technologies from 64 Audio with him. But yeah, I've only tried a few FIRs, and I think the Radon 6 I talked about in my previous ranking video, it was okay for me. Project K actually like a little bit better than Radon 6. I think it has a lot of clarity and detail. It is treble forward, just like with the Jomo Nautic Stellar. It's got solid mids and neutral bass. So yeah, overall, I put the same level as the Nautic Stellar. Yeah, it's another one of those treble forward type of IEMs that had a lot of good clarity and detail. And if you like your mids, I think this one won't let you down either. And just this one, bass is a little bit more lean though, so don't expect a lot of that. So next is the Noble Van Gogh, which I actually do like the appearance of this IEM. It's cheaper than I expected. I mean, for a Noble. So usually Noble IEMs are over 1,000. But this one is below 1K, and it's pretty good actually. Very good textured bass on this one. Usually Noble does not come to mind when I think about bass, but they do have some IEMs like the Aegis II and the Shogun with a lot of bass. But the Van Gogh is actually V-shaped. It's very good texture bass. In fact, it is similar to the Aegis II. I think I put the Aegis II in the B tier in my previous ranking video. This is basically like Aegis II, but not quite as technical. You got to remember, Aegis II is like, a bit more expensive than this. So that makes sense. So this is like the junior version, or the little brother of the Aegis II, essentially. So it's V-shaped and it's got pretty decent bass. So if you like that, yeah, it's an atypical Noble IEM, I would say. But yeah, overall, I think it succeeds at what it wants to do. It's good for people who want a Noble IEM with a little bit more fun, or if you just want to have like a cheaper Aegis II, basically. I think this might be my favorite Flip Ears IEM, the Asia. Surprisingly, it's not even that expensive, but I like it actually better than any of their other IEMs so far. It's got well-textured bass, so unlike some of the other Flip Ears like the Legion, which I found like the Legion's bass was a little bit muddy to me, so it wasn't like that great, but the Asia actually has really nice well-textured bass. It's not really muddy. It's W-shaped, so it's fairly balanced, and I would say better balanced than the Arian and the Legion. So yeah, overall, I think this is a well-tuned IEM with good bass and decent amount of detail. So I think this is actually my favorite flip ears, and the fact that it's not even that expensive for flip ears is actually you know, kind of the icing on top here. So yeah, overall, I recommend the iShare. I think it's actually pretty good. Kiwi Ears Orchestra 2. I talked about this in my previous ranking video before, and I put it in the C tier, but I'm going to revise it and I'm going to put it in the B tier now because I do think it's actually really well tuned. I had the chance to listen to this again at earphone, and yeah, overall it's really well balanced. I would say it leans Harman, so it's like a Harman style tuning, which means it's kind of like W-shaped-ish. So it's got a decent bass push, and it's got treble push and upper mid push with decent technicalities across the board. I mean, you got to look at the price, right, and realize that, okay, for this price, it's actually pretty solid, and it's really well tuned. So it's very competitive with any of the Zagats I mentioned earlier. So if you look at any of the Zagats around the same price range, I think the Orchestra 2 really competes with any of them. So anyways, I'm going to put in the same tier here. So the 64 Audio Velour, this one I liked quite a bit as well. It's got a nice well-balanced tuning, so it's like, yeah, like this nice soft V shape or W shape, I guess. So nothing's like really too much or too little. It's got fairly average technicalities, but the tuning is just so well done, and I really like the fact that it was not fatiguing, which means that the treble was kind of laid back a bit, not too harsh. So yeah, that's what I liked about this one. It's just the tuning is really well done. The technicalities is just okay for the price, but yeah, the tuning is not fatiguing and just really well balanced. So the Oravetti Grand Supremacy, this is the flagship in the Oravetti's lineup, and Oravetti I think deserves to be a bit more well known, to be honest. They're not like so well known in terms of the IEM industry, but they make some good IEMs. I actually had the OH700VB before. That one I also put in the B tier. I think that one's pretty good too. But yeah, the Supremacy has very good bass. I think it leans V-shaped. It's got very solid detail across the board. So yeah, I would say above average technicalities, and yeah, solid. I would say the detail in the bass is really good, and if you're looking for like a slight V-shaped energetic style tuning, you can check this one out. So yeah, Oravetti Grand Supremacy, it's fairly solid, I would say. Unique Melody Maven 2. I think this is also above average as well. I really liked it too. It leans V-shaped. It's not like too V-shaped or anything like that, but it definitely is on the energetic side. It's got solid detail across the board. Honestly, it sounds pretty similar to the Oravetti Grand Supremacy I just talked about. So yeah, which means it's got, you know, good bass quality, and it's a nice V-shape. You know, this is what I said, like, I normally, like, I don't like V-shape too much. You know, a lot of them end up in the D tier, but if it's done well, like on the Grand Supremacy or the Maven 2, then yeah, you know, I'll put it up here. So it's not like I dislike all IEMs with V-shape. This one is pretty good. Decent, energetic IEM for the price. And yeah, fairly competitive with the Grand Supremacy, I would say. Okay, so next is the Art Pickle Michael. I haven't talked about this company before, but they make some pretty decent IEMs too. They actually have a premium brand called Palavox, which I haven't been able to test out yet. But yeah, this is a really nice looking IEM, you guys can tell, right? It's got a really cool looking shell and design to it. But yeah, the tuning overall is V-shaped. It's got good quality bass, so it's got something in common with the Maven 2 and the Grand Supremacy in that sense. Overall, it's got decent details, but the amount of bass on this is actually a bit more than on the Maven 2 and on the Grand Supremacy. So I would say that this one is more for bass heads. Like personally, the bass is a little bit too much for me on this one, but I can appreciate the good quality of the bass. So it's kind of like the Empire Ears Raven. So it's got good quality bass, nice texture to it. But yeah, I think this one is probably more for like people who really like their V-shaped or really like their bass. So it's more for like bass heads and people who like energetic tunings a lot. But maybe not for me. I don't like my mids too recessed or the bass to be too much in quantity. But I'll still put this one in this tier because I appreciate the high quality bass on offer here. 64 Audio Neo now. I'm going to put this on the same tier as Zio. So Neo and Zio to me are, yeah, it's like, this one sounds pretty similar to the Velour actually, but the mids are a little bit more forward. And then compared to the Zio, I think it doesn't have quite as much bass as the Zio, I would say. The Zio is kind of more similar to the Empire Ears Raven, but the Neo sounds more like, yeah, like the Velour, but with a little bit more mids. So I actually like this one a little bit better than Velour, actually, because of that. But anyways, I think Neo is a pretty solid one too, so I'm gonna put it on the same tier. Pretty much same tier as on the Zio and the Velour, I'd say. So this is the TA Audio V16 Divinity, which used to be their flagship before they had the Valhalla. This one I think is pretty good. It's got V-shaped tuning, but it's got thunderous bass. So it's got really nice bass quality and quantity as well. I would say above average technicalities. So above average detail, above average soundstage, nice energetic V-shaped tuning, and incredible textured bass. So overall, yeah, I recommend this one to anyone who loves bass and energetic tuning. Not necessarily my favorite TA Audio because I'm not, like I said, not a huge fan of very V-shaped or a lot of bass, but I can appreciate what it offers to people. Okay, so Technics TZ700. So some people might not be aware that Technics, which is the premium audio brand of Panasonic, they make, usually they're well known for their turntables and stuff, right? They also make great amplifiers and CD players and stuff, but yeah, they also make IEMs, and they make a $1,400 IEM, in fact. And surprisingly, it's actually quite good. It's got a nice, energetic, slight V-shaped tuning with excellent detail in soundstage, I would say. And it leans bright with good treble detail. So overall, above average technicalities, very good treble, and of course, just like other Japanese IEMs, it leans bright. So yeah, pretty good for really surprisingly good for something from Technics. Actually, it was not surprising Technics to have an IEM that sounded like above average, I guess, and it's a nice energetic IEM. Yeah, it's too bad that they didn't have Sony Z1R. I kind of really want to try Sony Z1R, but they did not have it. But anyways, I was curious about TZ700, so I finally got to try it, and yeah, not bad at all. I got to try the Sennheiser IE600 as well. So the IE900 I had, which is their flagship, and that one was like a very V-shaped IEM, very energetic with very good bass quality. And I put that one in the C tier because honestly, it felt like it was still kind of overpriced for what it was. Like, it's got good bass quality, but other than that, it didn't stand out to me too much, and the mids kind of sucked because they were so recessed. The IE600 though, it's not quite as V-shaped as the IE900. It's got a slight V-shape, and it's got above average detail for the price as well. So it's decent technicalities, and it's also got good bass texture. So basically, it's probably about 80% that of the IE900, but it's a lot cheaper. So I think for the price, this is better. That's why I put this in a higher tier here. Put IE900 in C tier. Because I didn't think it was very good for the price, even though it has the good bass. But I think IE600 gets pretty close. It's like 80-85% of IE900 for a lot less. So I think it's relatively better value. That's why I put it here in the B tier. Okay, so the Crinier Daybreak. This is an IEM that's been talked about a lot online. It is from Crinical's brand. So Crinical is this very influential IEM reviewer online, and he made his own brand. And it's not too expensive or anything. He never recommends stuff that's like too expensive. Yeah, this is like, I would call this one a very safe tuning. So it's very well balanced, very safe, doesn't push up anything too much, doesn't recess anything too much. It's, yeah, it's not really like V-shaped or anything, but it's not neutral. It's just this nice W-shaped balanced tuning. So like most people will enjoy it. Technicalities are average, but the tuning's nice. So anyways, I'll put this in the B tier because I do think that hey, most people will probably enjoy this tuning, even if some people might find it boring, you know. But I think most people will enjoy it. It's a nice all-arounder for the price. Next, the TA Audio Hype 10. I think this one is kind of energetic. It's got a slight V-shaped type tuning to it. Decent technicalities, I would say. But it's a nice energetic IEM for the price. One other note I have is that this is a very sensitive IEM, so you might have to turn down your volume knob on this one. So yeah, it doesn't take much to drive it, even compared to other IEMs. But yeah, it's a nice energetic IEM with decent technicalities for the price. So 7th Acoustics Supernova. The only other 7th Acoustics IEM I've heard was the flagship Asteria, which is one of my all-time top IEMs. So Supernova is not Asteria, but it's still well tuned. You know, it's well balanced with above average technicalities for the price. Comparable to, I'd say, like a FiO FX17 or a Campfire Alien Brain, even though it's not the same level in terms of technicalities necessarily, but it's got a similar tuning. So it's got a nice balanced, safe tuning, I would say. So again, just like some of, I tried these at Critical's Hangout, right? So all of his IEMs kind of tend to be safe. So he doesn't really have many IEMs that would be like crazy tuned or anything. So anyways, it's fairly well tuned. Let's Shower Mystic 8. I think this is Let's Shower's sub-flagship. So usually Let's Shower is a Chi-Fi brand that makes like kind of affordable IEMs, but they do have the Cadenza 12, their flagship, which is pretty good, and then the Mystic 8, which sits underneath it. Overall, it's fairly well tuned. It's got, you know, nice, well-balanced W-shaped tuning, decent technicalities for the price. Similar to, like, basically if you guys just heard what I said about 7th Acoustic Supernova. Same applies for Mystic 8, I think, as well. So yeah, I think it's a nice all-arounder, well-balanced, decent technicalities for the price. So Soft Ears Twilight, I know it looks kind of weird, but it actually sounds pretty good. It's another one that's kind of well-balanced across the board with good technicalities for the price. So you guys can tell I tried all these IEMs at Quinn's Hangout, and all his IEMs that he recommends are kind of tuned the similar way to his Daybreak. So they're all like this nice balanced W-shaped tuning that's not too offensive to anyone. It's a nice all-arounder with decent technicalities, well balanced across the board. Yeah, so what can I say? It's kind of like what I said about Supernova, Mystic 8, and Daybreak. So it's overall nicely balanced, well-tuned IEM that most people will enjoy with decent technicalities. 64 Audio Forte Blanc. This is a variation of the 64 Audio Forte, which I talked about before in the first IEM ranking video. I put on the same tier pretty much because it's just the Forte with a different tuning. So the original Forte, I believe, was a bit spicy in the treble. Didn't have too much bass. This one adds more bass, makes it a bit more V-shaped, I would say. Technicalities are the same as Forte. So you got top tier soundstage and detail. So yeah, I remember the Forte soundstage being one of the best I've heard from an IEM. So Blanc has that as well. It's just a more V-shaped version of the Forte. So it's got more bass than the Forte does. I think the treble might be a little bit less, but yeah, because the original Forte was more treble forward. This one a bit, yeah, just more V-shaped. So anyways, putting it on the same tier as the Forte. So the SoundRhyme DT500, I think this is the model. I'm not too familiar with this brand. I think this is one of those low-key Chi-Fi brands that they sell on Pinon, which, by the way, I haven't tried any Pinon IEMs either, but yeah, they sell this one on Pinon. And it's got a nice balanced W-shaped tuning on it, so I do like it. It's not fatiguing. It's got a really nice relaxed presentation with decent technicalities. And it's not too expensive. So overall, it's actually a really nice IEM for the price, I think. So I think Kryn does not know about this one. If he knew about this one, he'd probably offer it as his hangout too. So yeah, it's a nicely done IEM with a nice relaxed presentation and balanced tuning. Okay, so my first entry in the A tier is the Activo Volcano. I don't know too much about this company, but this is a fairly affordable IEM. It's only $80 US, and believe me, there's a reason why it's in the A tier. It's because it does not sound like an $80 IEM at all. Like, I didn't know exactly the price for this, right? I was in Japan and I wasn't converting everything. There was always in Japanese yen, right? So I don't know exactly the price when I heard it, but I thought this was like a $500 IEM, but it's only $80. Like seriously, it sounds like a $500 IEM. It's crazy, especially the bass. So it's got 3 dynamic drivers. It's actually got really fantastic bass texture, especially for the price. Like for under $100, getting this kind of bass is incredible, and even for under $500, honestly, like this is one of the best bass I've heard for an IEM under $500, and this thing's $80. So yeah, you guys can tell it's really Really good value, I think. The tuning's pretty good. It's got relatively well balanced, well rounded, kind of slightly U-shaped tuning, and it's got very good technicalities for the price. It really punches above its price, I would say. Very good detail, technicalities. Tuning is well balanced, slightly U-shaped type of tuning. So yeah, it's got a bass push and a treble push. Overall, sounds pretty fun. But yeah, that bass texture for $80 is incredible. So that's why this has got to be in the A tier. This really punches above its price, in my opinion. Like in the budget section of the store, so I was quite surprised by this one. Okay, yes, I'm going to put a Zagat IEM in the A tier because I do like, in general, I think all of Zagat's IEMs have been pretty well tuned. And the Horizon is a really good one, and I actually like it better than Odyssey. I think Odyssey was probably my favorite Zagat in the B tier. I put a bunch of Zagats in the B tier. Probably Odyssey was my favorite. But then Horizon I like even better than Odyssey. It's got very good bass texture for the price and above average detail across the board and a really nice W-shaped balanced tuning. So in general, I could say that probably is just my favorite sounding Zagat. Yeah, so all the Zagats I've heard have been at least above average. That's why they're at least in the B tier for me. But this one, I liked just slightly better than all the other ones. So I'm going to put it in the A tier here. But yeah, all the Zagats IEMs are really good. You can't go wrong with any of them. But yeah, this one, good bass, nicely tuned, above average detail and technicalities. Yeah, for $330, why not? It's probably one of the best at this price. Hey, I have an Ultimate Ears in my A tier as well. It might be surprising to some of you guys. It's actually surprising to me. I actually did not expect there to be an Ultimate Ears in my A tier because, well, I thought they were like this brand that kind of just died off. I don't see too much of them anymore. But no, apparently they're very much still alive, and they're making apparently pretty nice sounding IEMs. So good to see that. Yeah, it's actually Jerry Harvey Audio that I think I haven't heard too much of. I wonder what happened to them. But Ultimate Ears seems to be going strong. The UE7 is pretty good. It's really well tuned. It's a nice, energetic, exciting IEM. Very good balanced tuning and excellent technicalities. So overall, I think, yeah, I enjoyed the UE7 Pro. It's surprised me, because I thought that Ultimate Ears was like this old brand that, I know they're a pioneer in the IEM industry and everything, but I thought they would have been overtaken by newer IEMs now, right? Just like kind of what happened to Shure and Westone, right? And Eddie Modic. But no, actually, they're still making some pretty solid IEMs. The UE7 sounds really good. Nicely tuned, very well balanced. Good all-arounder, excellent technicalities for $1,000. Probably one of the best IEMs you can get at this price range. Okay, I don't just have one. I actually have two Ultimate Ears IEMs in my A tier. I know, it's kind of surprising. It surprises me as well. Yeah, I did not expect Ultimate Ears to be this good, and they are this good. Like the UE Premier is their flagship, $3,000 US. And this one has also got like an energetic type of tuning to it. It leans V-shaped, I would say. It's not like incredibly V-shaped or anything, but it definitely leans V-shaped, so it does have more energy and everything. It's kind of like, actually remind me a bit of the Empire Years Raven because it does have very good bass quality. It's got a bit more forward mids, I would say, than the Raven does. The Raven is known for the bass, so the UE Premier actually does have that bass quantity and quality there, but the mids are actually a little bit more forward on the Premier compared to the Raven. So yeah, overall it's quite nice. It's not like too V-shaped or anything. It's definitely got more of an energetic tuning in sound signature, but pleasantly surprised me. And I think that people who enjoy the Empire Ears Raven will enjoy the Premier. In fact, the Premier I believe costs less than the Raven does, but I actually liked it a little bit better. And it does have more forward mids. That's probably why. Okay, so also in the A tier, I'm going to put the 64 Audio U18T. This is their sub-flagship. Their flagship is the TF Forte, and I actually like this a bit better than the TF Forte, to be honest. It's got a very energetic tuning. It leans V-shaped, but not like super V-shaped. It's kind of like the Trio, where it's like a little bit V-shaped for sure, but not so much so where it drowns out the mids too much. It's got excellent clarity, very detailed treble and bass. So yeah, I would say that I'm going to put this in the A tier because I feel like the 64 Audio Forte Blanc, I guess, is sort of like this as well, except it's more expensive. I did not see like too much of a technicality difference. Like maybe the Forte Blanc is a bit more technical, but U18T for like a bit less, you can probably get most of what you can get with the Forte Blanc. So yeah, I didn't sense like too much of a difference between this and Forte Blanc. I think this is most of the technicalities of it, and similar tuning, I would say. It's because it's got the technicalities, the detail and everything. And yeah, overall, I think it's good. People who like the Tia Trio or the Forte Blanc, you know, the U18T would pretty much be like around there. So I think for 3K, yeah, it's a pretty solid IEM for that price point. Next is the Melodic Artification Alter Ego. In fact, I don't really know any other IEM by this company. I've only heard of the Alter Ego, and I've actually wanted to try it for a long time, and I finally got to try it. Yeah, this is a pretty nice sounding IEM. First of all, it looks really cool, right? It's got a really cool design. But yeah, it's got a very energetic, leaning kind of V-shaped type of sound signature. High quality bass. The bass is actually quite good on these. Above average technicalities, I would say. The detail and soundstage are all quite above average for the price point. So yeah, I guess to me, this would be like Ice Lab's Spectromica, but if it was like more V-shaped, basically. So Spectromica, I think I still prefer a bit more. I put it on the same tier, but I mean, they're kind of in the same, they are in the same tier actually in terms of technicalities. It's just Alter Ego is a little bit more energetic and V-shaped. Spectromica is also energetic, but it's not quite as V-shaped. It's just more balanced across the board. So yeah, I mean, both of them are nice. So I probably put this right next to Spectromica. If you want like a more V-shaped, energetic, even more energetic type of sound signature, then you can check out the Alter Ego. It's pretty nice. Okay, so the C Audio Hakuya, this is C Audio's flagship. This is a pretty interesting one because I think initially I thought this was just okay. I was going to put this in the B tier because it was like, okay, the technicalities are okay. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say the technicalities are actually above average. They're just kind of, for $3,000, it sounds like just around there for technicalities. But the tuning is actually really nice. It's got this really laid back type of tuning, and I kept finding myself wanting to go back to this IEM. It's interesting. It's like, initially I was like, okay, yeah, it's above average, but then I was like, wait a minute. This is like, I keep going back to it, and I was like, this is actually a tuning I really like. It's got this like leaning neutral, but still kind of fairly balanced type of tuning that's just very laid back sounding. It's got very good bass, and the soundstage is actually quite above average, I think. So I think that's what I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to like IEMs with good mids, and I think IEMs that kind of lean neutral will actually push up the mids a bit because it's just like, you know, the mids stand out more when it's like more neutral tuned. So yeah, this got good mids, and also the soundstage is what I really appreciate in IEMs too. If it's got like a noticeably wider soundstage. Yeah, the Hakuya is interesting. Like the detail, I would say, is yeah, in terms of technicality, I think the detail retrieval resolution is about 3,000. Yeah, it's about average there, but it's like the soundstage is much wider than I initially expected. And then the tuning is this very relaxed, balanced sounding tuning, which I think that's the type of tuning I like, you know. That's the type of tuning I get in the UMS Jet Black or on the Dita Perpetua, you know, the kind of really nice, laid back, relaxed tuning. And I kept wanting to go back to this IEM because of that. It's just very, very listenable. So here it is. I'm going to put it in the A tier here. Initially, I was like, detail is just average, but then there's something about it I really like, you know, the soundstage and the relaxed, laid-back tuning. I really like that. So I mean, I'm going to put this in the A tier, actually. This is another IEM I've wanted to try for a while now. This is the flagship Tongzu. It's the Tongzu Wukong. So Tongzu is a Chi-Fi brand that's mostly playing in the like affordable segment, right? So most of their IEMs you'll see is like under $1,000. But the Wukong is their flagship. It's almost $2,000, and nobody around me had it. I've always wanted to try it out because I really like Tongzu's Tianpeng, which I put in the A tier in my previous ranking video. That was just a $600 IEM. I thought it sounded like a $2,000 IEM. But yeah, the Wukong, it's really good actually. So for $2,000, it does hit above its price range as I expected from Tongzu. They make excellent IEMs that usually punch above their price. Sounds like a $3,000 IEM to me. It's got very good balanced tuning. So it's, again, one of those tunings that's like kind of like this nice W-shaped-ish, I guess. Some people might say it's too safe, but for me, it's nice to listen to. I'm like the balanced type of tuning is just a nice all-arounder type of tuning. So it's got, yeah, just good amount of bass, treble, and upper mids pushed up a bit, but not too much. And it's not fatiguing, so it's, yeah, like the Hakuya was very, very laid back and relaxed in that sense, but Wukong also doesn't really have harsh treble, and the treble is, yeah, it's not fatiguing or harsh, and that's something I really appreciate in IEMs. It's got good bass texture. Technicalities, like the soundstage and detail, is all above average for the price. Like I said, it probably sounds more like a $3,000 IEM. So yeah, overall, I really do like the Wukong. I think this is probably one of my favorite $2,000 IEMs. Like this is, yeah, on the same level, I would say, as the Mess Jet Black or Spectromica, you know, that level. Alter Ego, I guess, is now on my 2K tier list as well for my favorite IEMs. Yeah, it's really on that tier, I would say. Okay, the Acoustune HS2000MX Mark III. This is Acoustune's current flagship, I believe. This is the third iteration of their HS2000MX. And I actually was so impressed with this IEM, I ended up buying it. So this is an IEM I actually bought and owned for a bit. Yeah, so what I'm impressed by with this one is that compared to the Mark I and Mark II, this one is a bit more balanced than the Mark I and Mark II. I think the Mark I and Mark II was a little bit too treble forward. So yes, the Mark II has a bit more bass than the Mark I, but the Mark I and II were both a little bit too bright and too treble forward for me. Now this is still bright. It's not like it's kind of like, you know, these Japanese IEMs, they're always going to lean bright, but it's not quite as bright as the first two. The treble is still very detailed and still very extended, so you're not losing any of the treble detail that you have from the first two HS2000MX, and it's just more balanced. Like it's got upper mids pushed up a bit, it's got the bass pushed up a bit, so overall it's just a little more balanced tuning compared to Mark I and Mark II. Mark I is pretty much all treble, Mark II is got more bass in it, and then Mark III has the mids pushed up more. So overall, this is just nice and balanced, which is what I liked about it. Technicalities, one of the best I've heard for $3,000. Honestly, it's got the technicalities of a $4,000 IEM. Like, it's very comparable to like Noble Viking Ragnar level of technicalities, which is a $4,000 IEM. Very comparable to Forte Macbeth. So yeah, even Hercules Moses, you know, like that level of technicalities, this is what it has. It's extremely detailed. So yeah, I would say overall it's very well balanced. Kind of leaning neutral, I would say, in that sense, where it's not accentuating too much of any frequency. So it's not quite as treble forward as Mark I and Mark II, and that's what I like about it. I think this is definitely their best in terms of the HS2000MX. The Mark III, I think, is the best one. Technicality-wise, it just is one of the most detailed IEMs I've ever heard, especially on the treble. And yeah, soundstage is up there, you know, $3,000, $4,000 level, flagship level soundstage. Yeah, overall, really like this one. I know it still might be a bit bright for some people, but I think it's a really nice IEM, so I mean, that's why I ended up purchasing it. So yeah, not for the full price, of course. This is a pretty expensive IEM, but I got it used in Fujiya for about $2,000 US. So anyways, I liked it enough to purchase it. It's also really cool looking and very unique, and also you can change out the core. You see that little core right in the middle. You can actually change that out and kind of change the tuning that way. That's something you can do in the previous ones too, I forgot to mention. But yeah, all these HS2000 ones, I think in the 1900MX as well, you can change out the cores to change out the tuning. That's what the little screwdriver, or the little screw there actually is for. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, not many IEMs you can kind of like change out the tuning like that. Like there's IEMs with tuning switches, right? But they're not the same thing. This one is actually changing out one of the modules in the IEM. So that's unique to Acoustune actually. Okay, so I'm gonna put the flip ears Artha in the A tier here, and this is actually my favorite flip ears. I know I said that about the Asia, right? Sorry I lied to you guys. I actually had a flip ears in my A tier, so I take back what I said about the Asia. The Artha is actually my favorite flip ears. This one I actually like better than the Artha Argentum, even though I think the Argentum is newer, but I like the original Artha better. So it's very detailed. It's got excellent soundstage, so technicalities is very good. Lots of clarity, got lots of treble detail. Bass is a little bit lean, but it's still decent. It's okay. Mids are forward as well. So what I have here is like I actually thought that the mids and the treble here is comparable to the Visioneers Phonics. And I know that's crazy because the Phonics is on my S tier, right, in my previous ranking video. It was one of my top 10 IEMs probably. It's Visioneers flagship. It's like a $4,000 IEM, and this is a not even $2,000. But like this is what I was hearing, right? I was hearing very forward mids. I was hearing very good treble detail. Now the bass is not going to be as good as Phonics. Phonics does have better bass, but in a lot of areas, you know, technicality-wise, it actually reminded me of that. And honestly, I think I might prefer it over even the Visioneers V10, which is a more expensive IEM. So I mean, yeah, like that just means this punches above its price, right? V10 is like a $3,000 IEM, and this one is almost half that price. And yeah, to me, I think the technicalities of this is actually maybe on the same level or better than the VE10 and approaching the level of Phonics. So that's really impressive. So anyways, Flip Here's Artha is a very impressive IEM for me. Had to put in A tier. Okay, so TA Audio Valhalla. I've been wanting to try this IEM for a while. This is the flagship TA Audio IEM, and it retails for $2,000. Yeah, this was pretty good. You know, V16 Divinity I thought was a little bit too V-shaped for me, even though the bass quality was quite good. So that one didn't quite make it into this tier. But I feel like Valhalla is like the balanced version of Divinity. So Divinity's more energetic, more V-shaped. Valhalla is got more balanced type of tuning, so it's not quite as V-shaped as the V16 Divinity. It's got more of a, I would say, like if you guys are familiar with the Monarch Mark IIs. Yeah, the Monarch Mark IIs are like fairly balanced, I would say. It's got like this nice U-shaped tuning that's not, you know, it's not too much bass, not too much treble. The mids are there, it's not too recessed. So it's overall fairly well tuned, I would say. And the Valhalla kind of follows the Monarch Mark IIs, which is good because I like the Mark II's tuning. Now, Mark III's tuning went a little, you know, too much bass, but Mark II was good. So Valhalla has that type of balanced type of tuning. And it's got very good bass texture, and I said this about V16 Divinity as well. The Valhalla actually has 19 balanced armature drivers, I believe, and yeah, I think it's probably some of the best BA bass I've heard then, because it's got very good bass texture. And yeah, overall it's tuned really well. I just think of this as basically like V16 Divinity, but more balanced sounding, not quite as V-shaped, and I like that better. So I'm going to put Valhalla in the A tier here. Yeah, overall, it's a very good all-arounder type IEM for the $2,000 price tier. So also on the A tier is the Let's Show Cadenza 12, which also retails for $2,000. I'm not sure if it's because I heard this right after the Valhalla and that affected my my impressions of this one, but it sounded pretty close to the Valhalla to me. I'm not sure which one came out first, but this one, it sounded just very, very similar to the Valhalla. Like the Valhalla has this nice balanced type of tuning. It's got above average details and soundstage. It's got very good bass. And Cadenza 12 is similar to that. Yeah, tuning and technicalities are all very similar to the Valhalla, and it's got the same, at the same price point as well. So yeah, this is the flagship Let's Show Her. And yeah, I'm not sure which one actually came first or not, but this one, it's pretty much like the Valhalla, you know. It's funny because TA Audio and Let's Show are both kind of like, yeah, fellow Chi-Fi brands, but these flagships for both of them sound fairly similar to each other, in my opinion. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, Valhalla sounds really good and got my recommendation in the A tier here for $2,000. I think Cadenza 12 also deserves, you know, the same ranking because honestly, to me, I'm not sure if it's because I just heard it after Valhalla, but it sounded pretty similar to Valhalla. So I'm going to give it the same ranking and score here. Okay, so the Fat Frequency and Effect Audio Quantum. This is a collaboration that Singaporean IEM brand Fat Frequency did with Singaporean cable brand Effect Audio. I haven't talked about Fat Frequency much. To be honest, they're mostly well known for bass heavy IEMs, which I don't like too much. Like the Grand Maestro, for example, I don't like that too much, but the Quantum is surprisingly very good. I know it looks weird, like just, yeah, it is kind of weird looking, and it uses Effect Audio cables, obviously, but surprisingly quite good in terms of tuning. It's like, you know, what do you expect from an IEM that looks like this? Well, it's got a fairly well-balanced tuning. It actually leans more Harman tuning, I would say. So Harman tuning being that, I guess it's like this W shape, I guess, where it has like a bass boost, treble boost, and upper mid boost. So it's got that kind of tuning to it. And as a result, it's a good one to listen to if you like modern music, like pop music and stuff, which I do listen to a lot. Solid technicalities across the board. So for soundstage and detail, it's pretty good for the price. And as you would expect from a fat frequency IEM, it's got pretty nice bass texture. However, I did know that this one does need a lot of power to drive. So I think they might be using some electrostatic or planar driver inside of this thing. So you need a lot of power to actually push this one up compared to other IEMs. So that's just one thing I noted. But surprisingly quite good, I would say. So yeah, at least for like modern pop and everything, it's got this Harman tuning, and technicalities are quite good for the price. So yeah, surprising. You know, I didn't expect a fat frequency IEM to be on my A tier, but here it is. Okay, so the Nostalgia Camelot, this was their previous flagship IEM. Now they have the Pendragon, and of course they had the Tesseract too, but that was more limited edition. So Camelot, I liked it quite a bit. It's a W-shaped type of IEM, so it's got a fairly balanced tuning, I would say. It's got very good detail across the board, so technicalities are quite good. However, I will note that compared to my Tesseract, now my Tesseract is also kind of W-shaped as well, but it's tuned differently. My Tesseract is more laid back in tuning. The Camelot is more forward and more energetic. So because of that, the upper mids and treble has a lot of forwardness and energy to it, and some people might find it a bit fatiguing or harsh or shouty at times. For me, it's okay, but yeah, I'm just noting that some people might find it a bit too like fatiguing, and it's the same thing like for the Visionaries Phonics that I noted in that as well when I was talking about that one. It's like, it's a very good IEM, you know, like well tuned across the board and everything's very forward. But the thing is, when you make things too forward, you have a risk of making it fatiguing for people or too harsh sounding for people. There's a risk of that. But anyways, I think Camelot still will satisfy a lot of people. So yeah, if you're looking for like very good technicalities for the price, decently balanced tuning, it's just that everything compared to my Tesseract, everything is just more forward sounding. It's not quite as laid back. For me, I would still prefer Tesseract over this, but yeah, Camelot, I would think a lot of people will still like it. It's a nice, energetic, and still well balanced sounding IEM. Okay, the Vision Ears EXT Mark II limited edition. This is co-flagship for Vision Ears, the German IEM brand, and yeah, the Phonics is their other flagship. I've talked about the Phonics before. I actually owned that one, and I did a video review on it. I ranked it in the S tier on my previous IEM ranking video. I'm going to put this one in the A tier, not quite as high as Phonics. The main reason being that the bass and mids are not quite as good as the Phonics. The treble on this is better though. So it's interesting because this is like kind of like the strengths of the Phonics is like kind of the weaknesses of the EXT Mark II, and the strengths of the EXT Mark II is kind of the weakness of the Phonics. And I think that's why they're co-flagship, right? It's like you can't make a tuning that will satisfy everyone. So you know, just make two flagships, and they kind of complement each other. So basically, the technicalities of EXT Mark II is fairly similar to Phonics level, which is very, very detailed across the board. Soundstage isn't going to be quite that good because, well, the Phonics soundstage wasn't that great either. So I'm not expecting too much in soundstage, but soundstage is just average, just like the Phonics, but quite detailed, I would say, just like Phonics, and more energetic shaped than the Phonics, I would say. Phonics is also energetic as well, but EXT Mark II is more energetic, and it's more V-shaped. Phonics is more W-shaped. So the mids are not quite as pushed up as the Phonics. I think that's one of the reasons I do like Phonics better. Phonics does have the mids pushed up more. The bass isn't quite as good as the Phonics, and yeah, as I mentioned, the treble is better than the Phonics. So the Phonics' main weakness, I would say, is the treble, and the soundstage is kind of lacking. But this one, even though it's the soundstage is not too different from the Phonics, but yeah, the treble is definitely better than the Phonics. So it's kind of like a complementary IEM if you have both, but I personally prefer Phonics more because it has better bass and mids. And the mids are really important to me, as you know from this video. So anyway, still good IEM, you know, still very detailed and everything. I mean, $4,000 IEM is the Summit Phi level. But yeah, just yeah, I need to have the more forward mids, and that's something that Phonics has. Right, next up I have a collaboration between Acetone Current and Visioneers. It's called the Aura. It retailed for $3,600 US. Yeah, for Acetone Current, they usually do collaborations with well-known IM brands, usually high-end ones. And yeah, this is the one they did Visioneers. And Aura is quite good. It's got very, very detailed treble. So it's extremely detailed and extended treble. So it is treble forward. It's bright. I would say this is comparable to the Acoustune HS2000 MX I talked about. The bass is there, but definitely takes a backseat to the upper mids and treble. So you got an upper mids and treble boost. And then because of the upper mids and treble boost, it can potentially sound fatiguing and shouty to some people. So this is the kind of same thing I noted about Camelot as well, right? Yeah, you got extremely detailed upper mids and treble, and also very forward mids and treble. But because of that, it could potentially sound like harsh and fatiguing and shouty to some people. But overall, it is a nice IEM. So reasonably well balanced. It is definitely like more treble forward, I would say. But still, you know, I think a lot of people who like the clarity and treble will like this. Overall technicalities are very good. I would say this is very comparable to the Acoustune HS2000 MX, Mark 1, 2, or 3, but probably if I were to do more direct comparison, yes, this probably has more forward mids than Mark 3, but it's close, yeah. I think I still went for the Mark 3. It's a more interesting IM for me, I guess, in some ways, and it was cheaper, but they're comparable. So anyways, Aura is still pretty good. It's very good detailed, very good technicalities, and yeah, people who like their upper mids and treble will like these. Okay, so also in the A tier, I'm going to put the QDC Crave. I think this is one of their newer IEMs. It's like a co-flagship IEM for them, because it's like $2,900, which is around the same price as their QDC Emperor and QDC King. So yeah, it's basically one of their flagships. 1 dynamic driver, 10 balanced armature, 4 electrostatic. Yeah, it's got a nice bass thump. I can really feel that bass. Generally well balanced. Is not like really. It's like a fairly inoffensive tuning, I would say. Like, yeah, basically, if you know the QDC Emperor and QDC King, I would say Crave maybe has a bit better bass, but it's not too different from those in terms of being balanced. It's got some emphasis in the upper mids, and the technicalities are quite good. So overall, I didn't have anything I really disliked too much about the QDC Crave. I think for a near $3,000 IEM, it is one of the best at that price point. So yeah. And yeah, I actually put it a bit above the QDC Emperor, which was on my B tier, just because I do think that Crave does have that extra bass thump, which, yeah, it's really nice without ruining the balance in any way. So yeah, Crave goes in the A tier here. Okay, so my first IEM in the S tier, and there's only going to be 2 IEMs in the S tier. I'm very, very selective with my S tier because any S tier IEMs is basically part of my top 10 IEMs. So I had to be very selective about them. So Nostalgia Pendragon, this is Nostalgia Audio's current flagship IEM, retails for $3,800. Yeah, this is a pretty amazing sounding IEM. But first, let's talk about like the appearance first, right? So it's actually a really nice looking IEM too, because look at the faceplates and everything, and not just the faceplates, the entire shell actually is. It has this kind of like dragon scale type of design, which is really, really cool. But yeah, the sound, it's basically like my Nostalgia Tesseract, which is the main IEM that I own, but with better bass, you know? And that was really the main criticism of it. So the thing is, if you look at the graphs, yes, they're not exactly alike, but they're similar enough. It's just the Tesseract upper mids are a little bit more forward. The Pendragon doesn't have quite as forward upper mids, but it does have better bass. It does have a dynamic driver. One of the things about my Tesseract, even though I do really like my Tesseract, but the problem with it is that if you were to talk about one major weakness with it, is it because it has BA bass, very noticeable balanced armature bass, which isn't quite as slammy, not quite as punchy sounding as dynamic driver bass, and that's probably the main issue I would have with it. Otherwise, my Nostalgia Tesseract is very good for me. Like, it's got the forward mids that I like. It's got the treble that's not harsh or fatiguing, but very well extended. Very airy feeling, wide soundstage. decent amount of detail. It's just the bass. It's got a good amount of it. It's just doesn't feel like it has the quality, right? It doesn't have like the spectromica quality with the bone conduction drivers. It doesn't have any of that stuff, right? No dynamic drivers, no bone conduction. Well, the Pendragon does have a dynamic driver, so it rectifies that issue. So it does have that punchy, slammy bass. And in addition to that, it doesn't change the tuning too much from Tesseract. Yes, the upper mids are not quite as forward, but it's still there. It's still got the mids, and it's got the lovely extended air treble, and it's also got the wide soundstage of the Tesseract. So basically, yeah, this is like a better Tesseract. And hey, I got to put this in the S tier, right? A Tesseract was in the A tier already for me, and then this is, you know, pretty much better bass than the Tesseract, which was the main weakness of the Tesseract. So I'm going to put this in the S tier. It's one of my top 10 IEMs. My final IEM in this video, and the only other S tier IEM in this video, is a collaboration that Aston Kern did with Empire Ears. It's called the Novus, and it retails for $5,000 US. Yes, it's actually, yeah, it's the most expensive IEM in this video as well. But I have to put this one S tier as well, because once I heard it, I was like, man, this is probably one of the best bass I've ever experienced in the IEM. Now, I've experienced stuff like the Fugaku before, and Fugaku is known for, you know, really, really good bass, and that's like a $17,000 IEM. But, you know, let's take Fugaku out of the equation, okay? Because that thing costs as much as a car. We have to be fair here. For just other IEMs, yeah, this is probably one of the best bass I've experienced in IEM. Now, I haven't heard PMG Apex ME. That one supposedly has insane bass as well. But yeah, the Novus is pretty incredible. So overall, the tuning is nice. It's not like, hey, it's just about bass. It's not like that. It's got a very balanced tuning and very good technicalities across the board, as you would expect from a $5,000 IEM. But yeah, the thing that really stood out to me about this one is, wow, extremely textured, hard-hitting bass. Probably some of the best bass I've ever experienced in an IEM, and you combine that with really nice balanced sounding type of sound. Yeah, it's got this nice soft, probably Harman shaped is what I would call it. Is really good for, like, you know, modern music, and very good technicalities, detail, soundstage across the board. Yeah, this is going to be one of my top 10 IEMs, I would say. Hence, it belongs in the S tier here. So yeah, I think out of all the Empire Ears IEMs I've listened to, like Odin Mark II, yeah, the Legend Evo, which I didn't like too much. Yeah, this thing is definitely like better than them all, I think. Yeah, so the thing about the Odin Mark II is like it gets a little bit too forward for me, where I feel like it has a little bit too much energy, and it gets fatiguing and harsh. This one, not so much. Doesn't get as harsh or fatiguing. It's just reasonably well balanced. I think Noble Kronos, for example, or Hercules Moses, you know, those are nice balanced S tier level IEMs I had in my previous ranking video. Seventh Acoustics Asteria is like that as well. Subtonic Storm is like that as well. Yeah, Novus is kind of along those lines, but with a very, very hard-hitting bass as well. I'm not going to say, like, hey, it has more bass than the other ones. I'm not talking about quantity. I'm talking about the quality. The quality of the bass is just astounding in Novus. I guess a comparison you can make is to the Empire Ears Raven. So the Raven does have very good bass as well, as I mentioned. Very good bass texture and punchy, but I do think that the Novus has even better bass than the Raven, while also being more balanced. So the Raven's more V-shaped. The Novus is more just overall more balanced sounding, not quite as V-shaped. So it's more well-rounded. And yeah, I think personally I would choose the Novus, and I think the technicalities are a bit better in the Novus as well. Okay, so this is the Aston Kern and Voke Audio Stella. It's a collaboration that Aston Kern and Voke Audio did together. This retails for $4,500 US, below the Novus in pricing, but still quite expensive, of course. This is probably, next to the Novus, my favorite Aston Kern collab. I think they've been doing really well in these. Like, the only other IEM I've experienced from Voke Audio is the Etoile, but this one, the sound signature is quite different. The Etoile is leaning more neutral, and because it leans more neutral, so it's actually a little bit more mid-forward, is what most people will experience. The Stella has more bass. It's got more bass extension. It's not like really for bass heads or anything like that. It just got really great quality bass. So it's got great bass definition and great sub bass extension. Treble extension is quite good as well. Got a slight bump in upper mids, which I guess is expected. For for most IEMs, they want to have a little bit of energy in the upper mids and give a bit more treble sparkle as well. But overall, I would say it's a very well balanced IEM. So it's not focused all too much on any one frequency. I think it'll work for most genres. Technicalities are absolutely top tier. So soundstage, detail resolution, not much to complain about with this one. The Novus, I think, still beats it in bass because just the Novus is some of the best bass I've ever heard in IEM. The only other one I've heard that rivals the Novus is probably the Fugaku, which is like a $14,000 IEM. So yeah, the Stella's not up there to the Novus in bass. However, it's still got really great bass. Yeah, so it comes a little bit closer to Novus. But it's, I would say, even maybe a bit better balanced than the Novus is overall. Works for more genres, I would say. Novus seems to be a little bit more energetic. But yeah, I would put Stella on the same tier as Novus. Novus I put in the S tier as well. I'm also gonna put Stella in the S tier. It's overall great IEM. And yes, I personally like it better than the Etoile. I think the technicalities are a bit superior to the Etoile. And some people might like the Etoile's more neutral mid-forward sound signature, but for me, I prefer the Stella. I think the Stella's bass is definitely better, and overall it's more well balanced than the Etoile is. If you want to if you want something that works for more genres and still feels very dynamic sounding, I think Stella is a little bit better for that than Etoile. Okay, so also in the S tier, I'm going to put the Acoustune HS3000 Hichiriki. This is the top of the line newest flagship from Acoustune, and I actually owned the HS2000 Mark III before. That was their latest iteration of the HS2000, which I already put in the A tier because of the top tier technicalities, incredible treble definition. Still on the bright side, as a lot of Japanese IEMs are, but it's actually incredible what they pulled off with a single dynamic driver. Now this one, it goes even further beyond. It's still one of the, it's still using 1DD, which is incredible, because this one, it's got very good bass, because it is a dynamic driver after all. Very good bass, but keeps going with that fantastic detailed treble that you expect from Acoustune. So they took that HS2000 Mark III treble, made it even slightly more detailed even, which, to me, I already thought the HS2000 had some of the best treble I've experienced, but this one has even better treble extension. Even better technicalities. I mean, HS2000 was already very up there in technicalities. This one even better. Yeah, and even better balanced, I would say. HS2000 was, I would say, compared to the HS2000 Mark I and Mark II, is definitely leaning much more treble heavy, more bright. And a little bit, because of that, it can get a little bit fatiguing, and that's why I didn't like the Mark I and Mark II as much. But the Mark III version I felt was a bit more listenable, a little bit better balanced, although still leaning bright. HS3000 is more balanced than all of the HS2000s. So this is much more listenable to me. Not overly too bright or anything like that. It's actually very comparable to the Dita Ventura, which costs more than this. Yeah, the HS2000 costs $3,300 US, which is actually quite good for this price. This is if you're talking about 1DD, this is the best 1DD IEM I've heard for the 3K price point, because it is actually very comparable to the Ventura, and the Ventura is a 4K IEM. It's actually closer to 5K. So yeah, I would say this competes very well with the Dita Ventura. That's one of the best 1DD IEMs I ever heard, but that's also really, really expensive. I think the Acoustune is just as good in terms of technicalities, and trebles actually even better than the Ventura, to be honest. So anyways, this is an S tier IEM for me. They took all the best parts of the HS2000 and they made it even better and more balanced. So yeah, for 3K IEM, this is a top recommendation for me, the HS3000. And on top of that, you still have the modular core swapping technology as well. And it's just incredibly well built, looks very unique, and you can swap out the cores for different tunings. I'm talking about the default core that it has right here. Yeah, the default core is ACT08, which is a beryllium copper alloy core, or chamber, I guess. Yeah, so I'm just talking about my experiences with this default chamber, but you can change it out. You know, just like the HS2000 versions. That makes it very modular and everything. So that's another plus for this IEM. Very unique. So yeah, anyways, it's going to be on my top 10 IEMs, and yeah, rounds out my S tier in this video. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about these IEMs. I know I went through a lot. I didn't get too much time with each one, but hey, you know, I had to go through as much as I could, right, to give you guys my impressions. I only had a limited amount of time. So anyways, those are kind of like my 5-minute impressions of each IEM. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, thanks for watching.